against the Canadians. That is north of the border since April 7th, 1977, a 6-4 win over Toronto. We mentioned right at the start of this series, this is the first time that these two clubs have ever faced each other in the playoffs, even though they've been in the same conference for about the last 17 years. And we are underway, and the big line of Francis, Barnes, and Yager starts off for Kevin Constantine. And once again, we see Alain Vigneault going with the 3-defense lineup. Here is Yager though behind the net, trying to put it in front. And Turner Stevenson had it stripped away. Francis with a high drive and hit the goal post to the right of Andy Moog. Ron Francis with a great opportunity there. And back comes Mark Bureau now, handing it off for Zalewski. And that play was whistled offside.
Good start for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They got the puck deep early on, and one got by Andy Moog, but it doesn't matter unless it goes between the pipes. Andy's used the pipes pretty effectively in this series so far. Short side, bang. In and out, off the pipe that is, real quick. Andy wasn't sure for a second where that went. But no harm, no foul. Montreal would like to get things going early on. You can see one of the reasons why. Goals against average at home, 8th worst. On the road, 7th best. That tells the story. That's just not particular to Andy Moog, obviously.
Yeah.
Montreal just hasn't fared well in their own building.
No, they have not. They've struggled all season long, a losing record in this building. Terry Gregson is the referee, as the officials have been getting a lot of the attention in these playoffs. Greg Dvorsky, Ray Scapanello are the linesmen, but everything intensifies, and it's not just for the players. Kasparaitis and Corson with a collision. Shane Corson was probably Montreal's best player in that third period of Game 2 when the Canadians were trying to come back from a 3-1 deficit. Here is Recchi now looking for his first point of this series. Sets it up for Corson in deep now for Brunet. Brunet circling the net. A couple of Penguin players ran into each other. Brunet sends it left point. Manson tees it up, drives the shot. Tipped in front of the save by Barrasso. Shane Corson was right there in Barrasso's face.
Well, the number one line was generally considered the number one line without Saku Koivu, of course. Getting a good first shift here for the Montreal Canadiens, getting it back to the point. Manson with the blast and the save by Tommy Barrasso. Traffic in front. Recchi going to the front of the net, looking for any loose change. And Shane Corson, who spent a lot of time, especially in the third period in Game 2 in Pittsburgh, all around Tom Barrasso, and especially behind Tom Barrasso. And the home and road record reversed. It should be the other way around, folks. Normally it is. Montreal second best on the road. We saw signs of that on the road, but they have really struggled. And the first losing streak at home since 1939-40 doesn't bode well for them. That's why this first period and the first goal means so much for the Canadiens.
Well, Kevin Constantine has already told us what he thinks of the first goal. He thinks it's more important than home ice advantage. So, you know, he'll be looking for his team to try to get one by Andy Moog to start things off, and they almost did with the shot by Francis that rang off the goalpost. Here's Ruzhinsky dropping it back now. Ulanov and Quintal. Very physical pair back on defense. Up the middle now for Savage. Deflects into the Pittsburgh zone. Kasparaitis tried to clear. Savage moves it along the boards. Kasparaitis tips it to the corner. Cleared along the boards by Sean Pronger, but the Canadians trying to keep the pressure on now in the Pittsburgh zone. At the line, Ulanov getting physical there with Morozov, and back the other way now Hicks, and he was taken down by Quintal, and a penalty coming. It's going to be an interference call, and look out, there's going to be another one. There's going to be another penalty, Sean Pronger. Now, I'm not sure if he had the original one. If he did, he's going to get 4 minutes.
No, I don't think so. I think this happened actually after the whistle, but Terry Gregson wasn't going to take anything from him. That's the way it looked like to me anyway. Pronger pulled down Foos after the whistle had gone. Might be an unsportsmanlike call or something to that effect, but I'm just guessing right here. Brian Savage of Montreal will get the initial call. That's the way I saw it, at least. There's a hook. Well, that's Quintal pulling him down, but Brian Savage is the Montreal player in the penalty box. So now it's really perplexing to see exactly what the call was. There were things going on at different areas. Sean Pronger is the Pittsburgh player in the box. There's no doubt about that. And that was a very late play. To the right of the screen, 12 black. There's Pronger. He kicked the feet out from underneath Foos, and you could tell right there that that was after the whistle. So, some interesting goings on here. Bottom line, 4-on-4.
Well, not a disciplined play by Sean Pronger, to say the least.
That's a big chance to go on the power play early, taken away by Pronger. I'm sure he never expected to get nailed after the faceoff. You virtually never see that.
Here is Recchi now with some speed. 4 skaters aside. Slager tried to angle him. Recchi battles through that. Recchi centering pass. Comes out now to Malakoff. He tries to drive a shot but didn't get through. And back the other way now comes Olesen. Yager, Francis, Olesen, and Slager. And back the other way now for Malakoff. Taken away by Yager. Has Slager cutting for the net, but he was well covered. And back the other way now, the Canadians. Recchi over the line. Play is onside. Here's Popovich. Snaps a shot blocked by Francis, who went down. And let's go back to our studio and John Buccigross. John, what have you got for us?
In Buffalo early first, Buffalo's leading point scorer during the regular season gets his first point of the playoffs. Miroslav Shatan, first career playoff goal, 1-0 Buffalo early.
Well, we were fortunate enough to cover the second game of that series, and Miroslav Shatan's a guy they need to get going offensively. As you take a look at what's happened so far, the big surprise, of course, right there at the top. All 3 of the games in that series have been 2-1 scores, and Ottawa has a couple of overtime wins. Washington with a double overtime victory, a couple of double overtime victories to lead 2-1 in that series, the other 2 at 1 apiece.
We've been waiting all year for these playoffs, and they have been terrific. There are some wonderful series going on, and we got one right here.
Face-offs have been so very important, as they always are in the playoffs, and they have been dominated by Pittsburgh so far in this series.
Yeah, that's an area that Montreal's got to do something about. Their face-off men obviously aren't measuring up, so it's not just head-to-head, centerman against centerman. Everybody has to get involved. And if it's at least a 50-50 draw, maybe the wingers can get in there and turn the puck over. There was a good example right there, a win by Montreal.
Clean win and a shot from a point, and that is tied up as Dom Foose was dumped in front by Kevin Hatcher.
There may be a little bit of an advantage day for Montreal that they obviously didn't have on the road. The visiting team center iceman has to put his stick down first. So that means Montreal's Vinny Damphousse in that last week sequence and go down second. Generally, the centermen like that to happen, and Damphousse did a good job in that last one. There's a look at the first 2 games. You can see the differences in the numbers. Also, there were a lot fewer face-offs total in Game 2 than in Game 1. But Pittsburgh has dominated.
78-50, the overall numbers favoring the Pittsburgh Penguins. And you're right, both coaches were talking about the fact that it's not just the centerman who actually draws the puck back. It's the wingers and defensemen battling to get to the loose puck. The Penguin players have been doing a better job of that. Here is Brisebois, slides it ahead now. Brzezinski goes down, a penalty coming. Robert Lang got a piece of him and tried to let go and put his arms up to let Gregson know he didn't get that big a piece of him. But it's going to be a power play coming up for the Montreal Canadiens.
I think they should take a whistle right away and play more time with 4-on-3. This is a mental mistake here for the Montreal Canadiens. If they're going to be sharp here, they can't do things like this wrong. This is a big game for them. Well, Robert Lang is in the penalty box now, too. Montreal will go 4-on-3 for the next 32 seconds. A hooking call for Robert. So the ice will be opened up. There will be a lot more room to move out there. We'll see if the Canadiens do anything about it. There's Robert Lang. He hooked him and pulled him down, and he'll sit out the next 2.
Montreal scored 4 goals in the first 2 games of the series, and Pittsburgh 2 of them on the power play. They were 1 for 5 in each of the first 2 games of the series. And, of course, one of those power play goals came on a 5-on-3. Both teams had 5-on-3 goals that they scored in Game 2. And this is a 4-on-3 advantage. For another 20 seconds as Damphousse takes it deep. Corson is in there as well. Marenko for the Penguins plays it around the boards. Malakoff will hold it in. Now Corson along the boards for Recchi, being watched by Francis. Here goes Damphousse with it. Back to Recchi. Recchi snaps it toward the net, deflected off the skate of Francis. Couple of seconds left before Pronger and Savage come out of their respective boxes. Here is Pronger at center ice, and Savage able to step into him. So it's a 5-on-4 now for about 1:20.
Pittsburgh was sharp there. They got the puck at the right time. They were looking for their man to come out of the box, hit him right on the tape.
Out to the line, and Malakoff unable to hold it in. Straka with good speed. Recchi, though, has the angle on him. Corson back to help out. Well, you made the point, Brian, before we went to the break. Montreal, if they'd have given the puck up right away, they had another 10 or 12 seconds of 4-on-3 power play time.
Yeah, they're not sharp mentally there. Somebody should have been yelling. I was watching the bench. I didn't even see them really yelling.
Marseille pass, Recchi to Corson, and kind of half-fanned on it. The puck cleared into the Pittsburgh bench.
Well, a key guy in this game here tonight, I think, is Vladimir Malakhov. He, of course, is the guy who inadvertently shot the puck into his own net last game. Now, there's been a lot of talk about it. It's been in the papers. He has not talked to the press. But all the people here in Montreal have read the papers. We know it. Here's a look at the goal. Barnes goes wide. Watch Malakhov. Tries to clear it. Inadvertently shot it right past Andy Moog. Now, he's clammed up, and obviously he's going to be a little bit uptight. Malakhov is a very key player for them. And if things go wrong early, I know what these fans are like in Montreal. They'll get on him. They'll boo him. It'll be a really long night. That will transfer to the rest of the team. It won't be good for the Canadiens.
Puck is cleared by Olczyk. He sends it back into the Canadian zone. Dave Manson back to get it. Moves it away from Tyler Wright. Tyler Wright, Eddie Olczyk. Darius Kasparaitis, Brad Wawrinka. The penalty killers for the Pittsburgh Penguins is Barrasso. Good communication and eye-to-eye contact with Kasparaitis, but still the Canadians get to it. Ruzhinsky now left it there. Savage tries to pick it up in the corner. 20 seconds remaining in the penalty to Robert Line. Wawrinka now trying to clear. Held in at the line by Manson. Easy stop by Barrasso. Clears it up the middle, and it's cleared along by Olczyk.
Well, you could certainly see Ruzhinsky's preference for keeping the puck down low there. He touched it a couple of times, didn't even look back towards the point. It's probably the play he should have made. He just kept throwing it back down into the corner, try and get possession down there and work it.
Yager knocked it away as Manson tried to clear, but Manson recovered well, playing Yager aggressively. Now here's Francis with a steal. Yager trying to get it to Stu Barnes. It's picked up by Brisebois. He clears it back center ice. Jiri Sliger has it. Yager tapping his stick on the ice. Wanted it, score! Jaromir Jagr with the salute that follows the goal that has given the Penguins a 1-0 lead.
Montreal was running around an awful lot on this shift, and it cost them. Even though they cleared the zone, they never really recovered their positions once the puck got to the neutral zone. Slager got it to Jaromir Jagr with speed. Anytime Jagr gets it with speed, you get people scrambling. That's what Montreal was doing. Look at the time in the room. And Andy Moog lost his angle there. I think he was surprised that that one went in him. Looked like short side, even from the top of the circle. Jagr's got a terrific wrist shot, but the key there is you did not see anybody with a white jersey anywhere near Jaromir Jagr anywhere soon enough. That's got to change.
Jagr's 47th career playoff goal, his first of the 98 playoffs. Came at 5:33. Jiri Sliger getting the only assist as this playoff side at the Pittsburgh line. Well, you know, we were talking about Vladimir Malakhov and the attention he was getting for putting the puck in his own net, but how about the quotes from Andy Moog? I mean, he took the blame. He said, hey, I should be hugging the short side post regardless of whether my guy's got it on his stick in that area with the puck where it was. I should have been against the post. I left a couple of inches. That's all the puck needs to get in. He tried to take all the blame off of Malakhov, knowing that with the press up here, and you know, Brian, because you played here and played on some Stanley Cup teams, that it can be awfully tough in this town.
Oh, I've seen Larry Robinson, Guy Lapointe, some of the Hall of Famers booed off the ice, and it's going to happen to Malakhov. I guarantee you, if anything goes wrong for him at any point in this game, that would show the character of Andy Moog to take all the blame on that.
Olofsson got an assist along with Slager on the goal by Jagr. Here's Bureau now. Stevenson wrapped around behind Barrasso. Picked up. Malakhov just missed the net. That puck got behind Barrasso, but it was swept out of there, and now we have a whistle and an interference call, and it looks like it's going to go against the Canadiens. They were controlling the puck. And, it is number 38, Vladimir Malakhov.
Malakhov jumped up on the play, but watch this play by Stevenson. It goes off his stick. That one got behind Tommy Barrasso, I think, somehow. Where did this one go? It was tough to tell in fast action. He came away from the post. Went off the stick. Went off the stick. It just sat in the blue paint for a second, and he got some help. Malakhov followed in shortly thereafter and got a shot on net also. Unfortunately, took a penalty in so doing. So the Penguins, with a 1-0 lead here, go on the power play with Malakhov's interference call. Right side of the screen, big Malakhov right at the face-off dot. Obstruction, interference on Stu Barnes. Malakoff didn't like it. Shrug of the shoulders from some of the people on the Montreal bench, too. Power play numbers. Both teams penalty killing Montreal and their rankings.
Pittsburgh Penguins were 0 for 5 in Game 1, 1 for 4 in Game 2 with the Eddie Olczyk 5-on-3 goal that came in the first period.
There was a little delay there. I'm not quite sure what it was. Yuri Slager was over at the bench along with all the referees and linesmen. Whatever it was, they're ready to go.
No, Mark Bureau, who sees a lot of ice time in shorthanded situations. Kevin Constantine coming with Francis, Barnes, Jagr, Hatcher, and Olofsson back at the points. Bureau, Brunet, Yulanov, and Popovich are the penalty killers for Alain Vigneault's Canadiens as Popovich sends it into the Pittsburgh zone. And Hatcher has it now. Kevin Hatcher hands it off to Olofsson. Fredrik Olofsson, who played 30 minutes, had the most playing time for the Pittsburgh Penguins in Game 2 as Barrasso had to stop that short side opportunity.
Olofsson and Hatcher play on the power play as the first unit. They also have played very well defensively against Recchi and Corson most of the time.
Nice play here. Jagr sends it across. He was looking for Barnes, who was behind him, but a nifty move by the veteran Francis to hit Jaromir Jagr and hit him with some room to move. Here is Francis again. Jagr will take it now in the corner as the Penguins spread it out. Jagr with the hash marks looking. Still hanging on number 68. Cross-ice pass. Popovich had time to anticipate that. Now Olofsson hustles over for the Penguins to get a stick on it, and a quick whistle there from Gregson.
Well, at the very beginning of Game 1, we talked about keys for both teams, and we're trying to keep an eye on them as this series goes along. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, patient forecheck. I didn't think they did it very well in Game 1. They did much better in Game 2, and the penalty killing hasn't really worked. It's been okay, but Montreal has scored in each game, so we gave them an X as not as successful as they would like to be in either one of the games.
Now the patient forecheck for Kevin Constantine paid off with much better flow, more opportunities to score. The big line coming through with 3 goals and 5 assists for 8 points.
And because we talked about patient forecheck, because of the speed and the quickness and the flow game that Montreal likes to play when they're playing well. Quick changes using that speed, and they probably have an advantage in Pittsburgh in that area.
Here is Barnes now rolling it back for Slager as the Penguins will come on the attack with a man advantage. Taken away by Ruzhinsky, and he backhands it into the Pittsburgh zone.
Pittsburgh doesn't look like they know exactly what they want to do on this power play. Jagr was standing along the boards inside the zone. People were moving, but it wasn't definite.
Here's a steal by Recchi, being bothered. A poke check by Barrasso. He timed it perfectly, but there's going to be a penalty against the Pittsburgh Penguins for hooking as Mark Recchi made first the defensive play and then kept his feet moving.
Good play by Mark Recchi, using that quickness that we were just talking about. And because of the disorganized look of Pittsburgh, they turned the puck over, and nobody was really ready to do anything. Hatcher had to recover quickly, get over there with the stick, chopped at Recchi a couple of times. That was a good penalty call, and if it wasn't for Tommy Barrasso being sharp and getting out there, Recchi definitely would have had a bid on net. He has 0 points so far. That's not like Mark Recchi. And as we pointed out in the last game and prior in the early stages of this game, he just hasn't had a whole lot of scoring chances yet either.
So a hooking call on Kevin Hatcher. And a face-off here in the Pittsburgh zone. 4 skaters aside, still 25 seconds left in the Malakoff penalty. Thornton won the draw cleanly. Back to Brisebois. Winds up. Takes the shot. Deflected off of Robert Lang. Straka will chase it down now for the Penguins. And here comes Lang. Trying to get some speed up the left side. Being chased by Brisebois. Brisebois slaps it to the board. Oh, Brisebois lost his balance. He went down hard. He is hurt. Patrice Brisebois, who was injured down the stretch a couple of times, is on the ice. It's a 1-0 Pittsburgh lead. We'll be back after this. Patrice Brisebois being helped to his feet, and that is a good sign. He missed the last 3 games of the regular season with a knee injury, but I don't think that was a factor in what happened, and it doesn't appear it was a knee that was hurt in the collision with the boards here, Brian.
No, it looks like a head and neck to me. I don't think it's a knee. What happened was he caught his skate. Watch his feet and how they sort of just jerk. When he goes to stop, it pitches him forward.
Oh.
And boom, he whacked his head and his neck, and that visor went right into his face. He looked a little bit groggy, certainly when he first got up. He still does. That could be a neck. It could be a back. From the looks of things, it's difficult to tell, but I'd say neck and back area is what his problem was. The fans were chanting his name. He's had a really, really good year, a career year numbers-wise, been a solid player for them. The fans were glad to see him back, and now they've lost him again for who knows how long.
So Alain Vigneault will have to make an adjustment without Patrice Brisebois, and we talked about the keys for the Pittsburgh Penguins before the series started. Brian, you talked about keys for Montreal controlling Jagr, which they obviously did a great job of in Game 1. Speed and flow, they did that as well in the first game.
Absolutely, and they get X's in the second game. They didn't do as well. Now, it wasn't a bad job speed-wise. They certainly showed some signs, especially the third period, I thought. Exactly. They got a lot of good things going. And Jagr didn't get completely free in Game 2. So we're talking, obviously, generalities here, but basically that's the way we see it so far in the series, and those are important. Let's face it, folks, Jagr's the #1 guy on this Pittsburgh team, and for that line, no matter however well he plays, what he is able to do makes the possibilities for Barnes and Francis with their skills that much better.
The only 100-point scorer in the National Hockey League this year as he won his second Art Ross Trophy as the top scorer with 35 goals and 67 assists. So the power play now for the Canadiens. Malakoff is out of the box. Recchi will drop it back. Malakoff will move it to Manson. Quickly for Recchi. They get it back down to Malakoff. Cross ice. A one-time here by Manson. He misfired on it, but Recchi jumps on the loose puck. Now it comes back to Manson one more time. Recchi sends it to the corner. Damphus behind the net for Corson. Moves it quickly. Damphus being pressured by Kasparaitis. Now Damphus looking in front. Batted away by Barrasso, and Straka comes up with it.
Good penalty killing by Pittsburgh inside their own zone, really moving with the pass. Whichever Montreal player is receiving it, they're trying to get on him before he can get complete control.
Barrasso directing traffic. This is going to be icing on the Canadian power play. Well, much more Stanley Cup playoff action coming your way, both here on the Deuce and over on ESPN. ESPN's National Hockey Night will feature Game 4 of this exciting series. The Washington Capitals take on the Boston Bruins. Adam Oates, a former Boston Bruin, going against Ray Bourque. And over on the Deuce, Ryan and I will be in Ottawa for the surprising Senators against the Devils for Game 4 of that series tomorrow at 7:30. And that will be followed.
There's a battle for you. Darius Kasparaitis, 12 hits in the first 2 games. He hasn't been a huge figure physically-wise. He and Wawrinka have played together almost all year and have played certainly together in this series. They've been matched up against the Vinny Damphus line most of the time.
Just to finish that will be followed by the Red Wings and Phoenix Coyotes on the Deuce tomorrow night. So a lot of Stanley Cup playoff action coming your way here on the Deuce and over on ESPN as well. As we're winding down toward the halfway mark of this first period. It's a 1-0 lead for the Penguins, but the Canadians working with the man advantage. Stuff it to the front of the net. Kasparaitis took a stick to the face and a penalty coming. I don't know that Gregson was going to call it immediately, but he went on the reaction of Kasparaitis, who went to his face. And a high sticking penalty here will negate the...
Looks like Shane Corson. Corson was the man who went up. Montreal's gone through the crease a couple of times with passes, 2 or 3 times already. And we'll have to look to see if that's a trend throughout the game. Yeah, it is Shane Corson now who's in the penalty box. You can see the slap on the face mark for Kasparaitis. Here's Montreal. Watch him go through the crease. Kasparaitis, 11 black, headed to the front of the net. The stick comes around. Corson didn't even know he did it. I don't blame him for being a little upset. Wawrinka had Corson covered in front of the net, hooked his stick up and around in the air as it came down. Kasparaitis almost skated into it. And I don't think referee Terry Gregson saw it occur that way. No, bad break there for Shane Corson.
He definitely went on the reaction of Kasparaitis, so this negates the remaining 26 seconds, obviously, left in the Hatcher penalty. So, again, 4-on-4 hockey.
There's a playoff face. Oh. Couple of bumps and bruises, and I'm sure he'd gladly go on another couple of rounds and add a few more as long as they're not too severe. That's what happens in playoffs, folks.
Pittsburgh still credited, I believe, Brian, with just the one shot on goal, and that was the goal by Jaromir Jagr. Here is Kasparaitis, 15 seconds before Hatcher will come out. It is cleared center ice. Yulanov played it back up the near board, but it's cleared right out of there by Wawrinka. Lang is tied up by Savage. Yulanov sends it across. Quintal now to Thornton. Look out! Kasparaitis had him lined up, but Thornton, boy, he showed how solid he is because he reacted in a split second and actually got the best of that collision, and not many do with Kasparaitis. Wawrinka with a nifty move. Hands it off in front for Jagr, and he fanned on it as Moog was forced to slide quickly from his right to his left. Taken away by Francis now as the Pittsburgh Penguins with the 1-0 lead go to work on the power play. Here is Barnes with it. Crosses the line, hands it off for Francis. Now it goes a one-timer by Olofsson. Deflected wide. Olofsson out to the right point. Hatcher. In deep quickly for Barnes. Couldn't handle it. Yulanov wraps it around and all the way down the ice.
Well, Terry Gregson has obviously established that he's going to call everything in this game. So the players have an idea of what's going to happen. That's important. So far, the third liners and the fifth and sixth defensemen don't get much ice time. They have not gotten into the flow of the game because of all the penalties.
Here is Jagr, makes a move to the outside on Manson, who plays him physically all the way to the boards, much to the delight of the Molson Center crowd. Jagr goes back to the front of the net, taking more abuse, and he's still got a stick on the puck. Jagr taken down, trying to draw the attention from Gregson, who was right there.
Dave Manson was really lucky there. He had a big hit on Jagr in the corner, then he tried to rough him up in front with his hands in his face. Jagr almost scored while Manson had his hands in rubbing him in Jagr's face.
Wawrinka now able to play it ahead. Jagr going to the bench, going over rather gingerly. Don't know whether he's got an injured body or just a bruised ego.
I think he's trying to draw a penalty there.
Recchi able to slap it away now as the Canadians are back at full strength. It is cleared down the ice, and this should be and will be an icing call as Yulanov goes back on the touch-up. Well, it is starting to heat up here in Montreal where the Pittsburgh Penguins, on a goal by that man, Jaromir Jagr, had the lead in Game 3. Brian, you were talking earlier in the series how Dave Manson has changed his game. Physical, but he seems to know when to back off.
Yeah, he's playing a much smarter game. Here's the last sequence. He'll take Jagr into the corner, finish him off really hard. Then when he goes to the front of the net, he gets preoccupied. Jagr almost burned him for a goal. Look at Manson go, whoa, he almost scored. He was lucky.
Yep. Got the stick between the legs on Jagr there. Actually, a couple of times in that sequence was lucky not to get called. Here is Straka getting loose from Thornton. Tried to center. Straka to the corner. Morozov has it there. Morozov hands it off to Lang. Lang in the corner. Snaps it. Tried to go high on the short side on Andy Moog. And it's right back down into the Pittsburgh zone. Morozov backhands it to the right of Andy Moog. Hicks with a hit there on Quintal, but the Canadians come back. Recchi snaps the shot, just put it over the glove of Barrasso. We haven't seen Mark Recchi get that many good shots on the net, or at the net even.
Yeah, he wasn't shooting on the fly as often in Pittsburgh as he's trying to do here in Montreal.
Here's Vernet looking to center. Kasparaitis timed his poke check perfectly, and Hicks able to slide it ahead. Wawrinka has it now. Coming up on Manson and slides it in deep. Andy Moog out of the net, plays it to the corner. Brisebois is back on the ice. That is good to see after that big collision with the inboards. Sebastian Bordeleau, number 71. He played in Game 1, not in Game 2. Back in the lineup, replacing Craig Brevet, who sits out as a healthy scratch. Here is Rob Brown now taking the feed from Francis. Hicks is being held up, so Francis comes over. He was hit hard by Bureau. It comes back to the line for Slager to the net. And a good stop there by Moog. Just the second shot on goal for Pittsburgh, that one there. Penguins with a 1-0 lead. Two teams are tied at a game apiece. Here is Rob Brown, a physical presence throughout Game 2. Dumping it back behind Moog. He's lying there, and now Jagr puts it around the boards. Nobody in a white jersey. Hatcher drives the shot to save by Moog, and a big rebound. Went right to Stevenson, and now Bureau plays it back into the Pittsburgh end.
Andy Moog directs traffic extremely well inside his own zone with the puck or just telling his defenseman where everybody is.
Straka drops it back, and a shot by Jagr was blocked by Ulanov. A great opportunity there. Canadians on a second effort will clear the zone. Kintal skates it ahead into the Pittsburgh end, and it's cleared, but not out. Now the Penguins get to it as Hatcher slides it ahead. Straka. 3 Canadians are back. An easy clear there for Recchi. Shane Corson up the left side. Jagr put a hook on him. Corson runs right over Varenka. And Olczyk now starts it back for the Penguins. Eddie Olczyk into the zone. Holds up, looking for some help. Sends it across. Varenka tees up a shot. A penalty coming. There's a Pittsburgh player down. Andy Moog is down. And it's going to be a hooking call. An obstruction hooking call. So that'll go against the Montreal Canadiens. Tyler Wright was the one that was done. Well, of course, there's a lot of great history and tradition here in Montreal. 24 Stanley Cup banners hanging from the rafters here. And our Molson Ice League leaders, playoff appearances, Montreal with the most with 70. Toronto and Boston, 2 of the other original 6 teams, ranking 2nd and 3rd. Lead the NHL with those 24 Stanley Cup championships. Of course, one of those actually preceded the 1916-17 season, which is when the NHL officially formed.
And we have another hooking penalty. Stefan Kintal in the penalty box. There was a collision at the net, as you mentioned, Dave. And there's the hooking call. Andy Moog went for a little bit of a ride. It didn't injure him at all, but you can see why Tyler Wright was shaken up momentarily. He got pulled down, and Andy Moog ended up kneeing him, or sitting on top of him with his knees. And there's a problem with the glass at one end, and they're checking it out to see what the problem is. So they've had actually some problem with the glass even in the warm-up. They had a piece get blown out. Now this is the second time they've had a problem.
Yeah, this seamless glass right there is where that piece came off that kind of holds the 2 pieces in place.
So they don't wave and snap off, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, there's one of the pieces that slid down to the bottom, and it should be at the top.
Well, this glass here at the Molson Center is the newer style glass that goes down deeper into the boards. It's much heavier. It's a different material altogether. It's a separate glass. Yeah, it
Bottom line is it hurts.
Much
like
better
hitting a wall.
Much better for the fans that sit in those seats because it doesn't mark up. But here's what happens when it does break.
In the warm-up, they had a whole section just get blown out, which really had caused a problem for the Montreal Canadiens' Andy Moog, because the crew came out to clean it up during the warm-up. Now, little things can throw you off, and sometimes the goaltender has to go off here. Andy Moog had to go off to the side, and the net not able to stand in the usual position while they went through all this stuff, and we're going to go through it again here, so we'll be back in just a couple of seconds.
Well, things are repaired here at the Molson Center. We're ready for the face-off deep in the Canadian zone. Somebody jumped the gun there. It was Dave Manson of the Montreal Canadiens, Brian, who's done a much better job on face-off, particularly in the Pittsburgh zone.
Yeah, they're sharper, definitely, than they were in the first 2 games so far. And you see the numbers. Montreal 11-6, so they've got a big edge. That's a big edge for them when you compare it to. You can see what happened in games 1 and 2 in Pittsburgh.
Kintal is in the box, so this is a power play for the Penguins. Their 3rd of the hockey game as Jagr sends it back now to Hatcher. Hatcher tried to roll it across for Olesen. Ruzhinsky intercepted for Don Foos. Back to Ruzhinsky. Snaps the shot. He tried to go far side on Barrasso. Didn't miss by much. Manson at center ice. Did not get it through Francis. Francis carries across the line. Lots of Brisebois looking to clear. Jagr holds it in. Jagr sends it to the corner for Francis. Quickly reverses it now for Barnes. Being pressured by Brisebois. Comes back for Francis. Jagr picks up the loose puck behind the Montreal goal. Jagr puts it right to the goal mouth. Moog with a great save on Stu Barnes.
That should have been a sure goal. I couldn't believe it didn't go in. Andy Moog slid across at the last second and somehow made this miraculous save. Jagr just walked out from in front. You can see how the rebound came out. Stu Barnes knew he had an empty net just for a second. Here's a real good look from behind Andy Moog. That's good coverage.
We had an opportunity to diagram that play that Pittsburgh likes to do on the power play with that goal mouth pass. Usually it's Jágr that they're trying to get it to, but Jágr made the perfect play there to Stu Barnes. We'll see what he was able to accomplish in game 2.
And Pittsburgh had some success, whether on the power play or even strength, just walking out from the corners and walking along the goal red line towards Andy Moog and forcing defense and Moog to make a play.
Hatcher fakes the shot nicely. Now Olofsson sends it across one time, just wide. Olofsson along the boards, regaining control. Now Francis hustles over. Along the boards for Hatcher. Bureau trying to dig it out of there, and Barnes unable to hold it in. Here is Hatcher now. Hands it off. Olofsson carries into the Montreal zone. Snaps the shot. The blocker saved by Moog. Now Malakoff. Francis comes in on him. Winding down toward 40 seconds left in the Kim-Tall penalty. Here is Jágr with a cross-side pass. Hatcher backs up toward the line. Gives it off now to Olofsson. Olofsson cross ice. It finds its way to Jágr. Back to the line for Hatcher. Hatcher gives it off. Olofsson right point. Now toward the net. Deflected behind the net. Now it comes out in front. Backhand stopped there by Moog. Again it was Stu Barnes. It was stopped on the play. This Wednesday, 2 of the best teams in the American League get together on ESPN. Ken Griffey Jr. and Alex Rodriguez lead the Seattle Mariners to the East Coast to take on Peter Martinez, Chuck Knobloch, and the red-hot New York Yankees coming your way Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball.
The Montreal defense seemed preoccupied with trying to play tough in front of the net. Peter Popovich in that last sequence tried to beat up a couple of different players and ended up not being in the right place at the right time when the puck came out. They've got to concentrate, especially a man short. They cannot afford to let guys get free and get their sticks on loose pucks. Montreal just really not sharp in front of Andy Moog, not thinking it outright.
Penguins have doubled up the Canadians in terms of scoring chances. Lasso out of the net. Yuri Slager has it there. As you see time winding down on this Pittsburgh power play, they have a 1-0 lead here in game 3. Robert Lang drops it back. Now they put it to Slager. Drives the shot deflected by Recchi. Bouncing puck. Delansky got a stick on it. Penguins still control, but it comes free now. And Corson hands it off for Recchi. Mark Recchi wanted to go back to Corson, who was looking the other way.
There was nowhere to go in the neutral zone. All 5 black jerseys were in there, and when they're patient on their forecheck and smart positionally, Montreal's not going to be able to come out like that.
Savage gets the shot away just wide on the stick side of Marasso. Morozov pinned to the glass by Ruzhinsky. Morozov will reverse it back behind his own net. Hustling over now is Damphousse. For Savage. Savage puts it out in front of him. Score! Ruzhinsky has tied the game.
And another one of those passes through the goal crease. Montreal gets on the board. At least the 4th one now that Tommy Barrasso had to handle, and he could not handle the pass from behind the net out to Martin Ruzhinsky. And no one was there to cover him either. 1-1 hockey game. It'll go down behind the net. Ruzhinsky, 26 white, will go to the front, and the pass will develop from there. There's Ruzhinsky. There's the pass in front, and a beautiful one it was. And there's nothing much that Tom Barrasso could do. It was Brian Savage who passed it out. I'm sure he heard a voice. It was right on the tape. Barrasso had to look back behind him, come out in front, try to find the puck, and stop it before it gets shot in. One of the toughest things a goaltender can do.
Oh, they are making some noise here in Montreal. Ruzhinsky's 2nd goal of this series. 3rd playoff goal of his career. And we have a 1-1 score with 2:45 left here in the first period. Here is Rob Brown with it. Tries to spring Pronger into the clear and the playoff side of the Canadiens line.
Well, this is what Montreal needed, no doubt. They couldn't go very long without scoring a goal, especially being down 1-0 early in the hockey game. They need some energy from these people and need them to be on their side. Martin Ruzhinsky has done that for them. There was good work down low. Damphousse got it behind to Savage. Savage threw it out in front. They had somebody there to do something about it. Watch this last play. Dave Manson getting back in position. Vinny Damphousse takes out Sean Pronger and inadvertently whacks Manson up the side of the head.
We talked about Damphousse at the top of the show. Brian, he got an assist on the goal as well, along with Brian Savage on Brzezinski's goal.
Yeah, he's got the touch. The last game you said, Dave, you pointed out, Damphousse has only had goals in 12 games this year, and his production is way down. But he's registered in every game already in that series. This series is huge for Montreal. Here's
Brzezinski now, holding up at the hash marks. Getting some help from Savage. Now here's Damphousse protecting the puck against Kasparaitis, who's working him over, but Damphousse still able to get it to Brzezinski. Back to Damphousse, a backhand centering attempt. Hit the side of the net. Brzezinski rolls it across, nearly hit Savage with it. Manson got a stick on it to hold it in. It comes back to Manson at the right point. Slides it to Freesdal. One-timer. Save Barrasso. Not sure where it is. Brzezinski trying to dig it out from underneath Warenka. And now Hicks getting in there.
That was a nice fake and pass across, and that was a big shot by Brisebois. It got down low. I think it might have hit Warenka originally, and then he was able to cover up on the play. But Montreal feeding on the energy that they created by the Rushinsky goal. Watch the pass across here. 1 point to the other. That's the shot. Yeah, that looked like it hit Warenka right on the foot, and he was able to cover up on it. But look at all the white jerseys down there ready to do something about it. There's Vinny Damphousse going right to the front. Rushinsky off to the side. There's Savage. All three of them are there. Tommy Barrasso was down, too. That puck comes out on a white stick. Pittsburgh's got a big problem.
No, Tom Barrasso will get himself ready for this faceoff.
Tommy's had a terrific season. Barrasso's just been stellar all year long. He played very well in Game 1. He was perhaps guessing a little bit on the overtime goal. Only he would know that. It was certainly a ripping shot from Brunet on the short side, which you don't see very often. But he played a great game besides that, and he was excellent in Game 2 as well.
Bureau and Barnes on this faceoff. Barnes wins it. Slager, he took a stick inadvertently up high from Thornton. He's coming back from surgery on his shoulder.
And that'll test it.
Jagr took him down, and I think it's Jagr that's going to go.
Thornton's been really involved. He really got involved early on in Game 2 and made a real big difference, I thought, for Montreal, even though they didn't win the game.
Wait a minute. Maybe it's Thornton that's going. It looked like it was Jagr that had his arm over Thornton, but Thornton is the one that draws the attention. Let's see how this whole thing unfolds.
Thornton got into it with Slager, and as you said, Dave, he had his stick up against Slager. Then he used the arm, and I don't know whether he's going to call this roughing. He just used his arm and sort of punched and pushed at Jagr, rolled him over, and then Jagr wasn't going to take it. He flipped him over and rode him down on the ice. I'll hold it. Okay? He said Terry Gregson has made it abundantly clear that he's going to call everything that happens in this game.
Well, we've certainly seen the same standard for the obstruction in the playoffs, which I think is good. A lot of players are wondering, O'Brien, like in a situation like that, when are you going to be able to make contact with an opposition player?
Yeah, well, there's always such a fine line with penalties, and players are never going to be happy.
No, that's right.
There's no doubt about that.
Well, power play here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Their fourth opportunity. And here is Jagr, who has the Pittsburgh goal. Bureau takes him down. There was some contact that they were able to do cleanly. Now Olsen puts it along the board for Brunet with a steal, and he'll send it down the ice as far as the Pittsburgh line. Barnes quickly for Jagr, hands it off now for Francis. Francis top of the circle, fights off a check from Popovich. Puts it along the boards, Olsen is there, now Barnes with it. Less than a minute remaining here in the first period. Hatcher with a soft touch pass, but now Francis able to move it along the board with a Canadian steal. Bureau sends it down the ice. Corson stepping up on Hatcher. And Corson taking the Pittsburgh player down. Gregson looked at that and decided no call. And perhaps because Barnes tried to embellish it too much. Brown with it now, carries into the Montreal zone, tries to hand it off. Bouncing puck steered to the corner by Corson. Ulanov drives it up the glass. Warenka, did he hold it in at the line? Great job there. Here's Brown with it. Now Brown getting some power play time. Shot to the front of the net. Lang got a stick on it. Bouncing puck chopped away, though, by Brisebois.
Just good tenacity by these penalty killers for the Montreal Canadiens.
Canadians come up with it again, and they'll get the clear as the final couple of seconds tick off the clock. And a very spirited first 20 minutes of action that will be followed by the new Dodge Intermission Report. Coming your way with ESPN News Network. We'll have highlights of that other big Eastern Conference playoff game going on in Buffalo. And the Pacers going for a sweep of their first round NBA series. Jágr with the only goal for the Penguins. Ruzhinski was able to answer. We're tied at 1. No Tom Barrasso getting all set with his team on the power play for another 19 seconds to start period number 2. That's the time remaining in the Thornton holding penalty that came late against Jágr. Here is Malakoff with it. He looks to rush into the Pittsburgh zone, trying to go wide on Olesen, who got a stick on it. And Jágr slides it across Yuri Slager. Sends it across Barnes, now to Jágr, and Malakoff tied him up. Drills it off the boards, but not out. Olesen held it in. Thornton comes out of the box, and the Canadians able to clear. And this will be an icing call, Brian.
Good recovery there by Vladimir Malakoff. He was a man short. He led the rush off the ice. That's not smart when you're a man short, especially when Jaromir Jágr's out there on the other team. I think that Pittsburgh was glad to see him go through the neutral zone with it. I think they let him go and then turned the puck over inside their own zone. Malakoff's a great skater. He's a big man, 6'4", about 225, but he could really fly, and he had to fly to get back and make that defensive play on Jágr. He had a good solid first period. We said he was going to be a key. Nothing bad happened to him. I think that's important. Again, because he inadvertently put a puck in his own net in the last game. The fans are very aware of it here, and if something's gone wrong for him that he would have been blamed for, let's put it that way, it would have been a very long night for him. People are like that here in this building, but he's been solid.
You mentioned he has not talked to the media since the end of that second game. Talk about Vladimir Malakoff. He's a pretty sensitive kid.
Yeah.
But he has recovered with a solid performance so far here in Game 3. Brunet now to Recchi, taken away by Lang. Lang, Straka, and Morozov as a unit not as noticeable as they were the first 2 games in Pittsburgh, but they can be dangerous. As we see the speed of Straka and the puck handling ability of all three. It's off a skate, and Lang nearly came up with it on the forehand. Now here's Lang again at the top of the circle. It's knocked away by Quintal. Held in by Hatcher to the net. Blocked by Ulanov. And Brunet able to clear it out to center ice. Play offside at the Pittsburgh blue line.
There's something I think must be wrong with Shane Corson as far as injuries go. This is the playoffs, folks, and we don't get a lot of information about injuries, and I don't blame them. But in Game 2, face-off-wise, Corson was the only one who was even. He was 10-10. Mark Recchi only took 2 face-offs, and he was 1-1. In Game 3, Shane Corson went from taking 24 face-offs only to taking 3. In the first period tonight, he has not taken any. That doesn't make sense for the only guy who was at least at 500 now is not taking any face-offs at all. And that must mean a shoulder, a hand, an arm, something like that. Unless they have another reason, I don't get it, folks.
No, you're right. If there is a problem, we're not going to hear about it. Centering pass here off the boards was intercepted by Kasparaitis. Now Rob Brown from center ice bounces one in on Moog, and he decides to just kick it to the corner. Kasparaitis dumped to the seat of his pants by Savage.
There have been some big hits in this game, selectively, especially along the wall. And again, this is a very punishing glass. It doesn't give it all. It's like getting hit into a brick wall. And Alexei Morozov found that out. And also, he got a pretty good elbow to the side of the head. There he is, right up against the end wall. Look at that elbow from Ulanov. Morozov went right down. He was slow to get up. Here's a better look at it. Boom. Oh, that elbow connected. See his head snap back there? He went down. That's the kind of hits that Ulanov are going to dish out whenever he gets a chance. And they're going to take a shot at Darius Kasparaitis whenever they can. Been very selective. Open ice, and particularly along the boards.
Face off top of the circle to the right of Andy Moog, and we've seen a bit more hitting in this game. And it's been the Canadians that have done most of it. Francis, Barnes, and Jágr. Alain Vigneault comes out with Bureau and Thornton along with Zarley Zalapsky. So again, the three defensemen, Malakoff, Popovich, Zalapsky out against the big line for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 1-1 is our score. We're early in the second period of Game 3. Barnes with a drive deflected wide of Moog, and he quickly points to let his team know where that puck was coming around. Malakoff battles through a kick at the 3-on-1. Malakoff waiting. Centering pass deflected by the only man back, Olofsson. Held in by Zalapsky. His shot is intercepted, and Francis starts a 3-on-2 the other way for the Penguins. Here is Jagr. Darts to the middle between the circles. Hands it off. Francis tried to put it in front. Smartly gloved out of there by Zalapsky, but taken away by Jagr. Here's Francis with a chance and a great stop by Moog. Andy Moog continues to come up with huge saves in this series. Here is Barnes. Knocked away from him, and it's recovered by Thornton. Tipped ahead by Bureau. Thornton has it, and that play ruled offside.
We saw the terrific speed of Vladimir Malakoff coming up the ice, and the reason that he can do it is, again, because they got three defensemen out in the ice with Zalapsky, so that he knows if he gets caught up the ice, it doesn't really matter. He made a terrific play coming out of the zone and blew right by Yuri Slager. Here he is coming on the attack. He tries to string it out. It doesn't make the pass across in front. It was a great play by Olofsson to block the pass out. Then Pittsburgh Penguins came right back the other way, but you can see still two defensemen back there, so not too bad. Nice puck movement by by Pittsburgh. And Montreal got disorganized. They turned the puck over. Francis is down behind everybody else. That's the turnover right there. And Francis threw it up and by Andy Moog. Andy Moog had to be sharp, though, in that sequence.
Moog made a couple of big saves on Barnes early in the game. He had that one beat him early off the stick of Francis that rang off the goalpost. Hansen to the net with it wide of Barrasso. Each team, Brian, here in this period with a pretty clean odd man break from about the blue line in. We haven't seen much of that in this series.
Not since early in the first game when both teams were pretty uptight and weren't moving the puck and weren't thinking very well just because of nerves, I think. The execution in Game 2 was definitely better. You're right there.
Cleared around the board by Tamer, but held in. Brisebois put it back deep in the Pittsburgh zone. Here's Corson with it. Shane Corson looking out in front of the wraparound chance. Barrasso went down. The puck went wide. Two Penguins went to one side of the net, and that allowed Corson to walk out the other side. Here's Brunet with it. Backhand centering pass does not get through. Barrasso gets his stick out there, and a penalty coming, and it may be against the goaltender Barrasso.
Well, Tommy Barrasso was upset, I think, with so many Montreal Canadiens around his net. It happened last game in the third period, and Shane Corson, 27 for Montreal, was the guy that game, and he is here in this second period, too, and he's giving Tommy Barrasso fits. Goalies don't like when guys come out from behind the net all the time. This one was Brunet. You can see Corson coming into the fray there. He went right through the crease, and he got his stick snapped in half because of it. We'll see. Pronger is the one in the penalty box right now. We'll see what the final call is. But Shane Corson has done a lot of damage in behind Tommy Barrasso, I think psychologically, if nothing else. And Barrasso would like to see his defenseman, I'm sure, getting after those guys a little quicker. Mark Recchi looked like he was fixing his skate there on the bench. He's definitely got a problem there. You can see he must have lost an edge or something. He wanted to get in on the play. Obviously couldn't. A little frustration showing there. So maybe he has to send that one off to get redone.
Well, the face-off controlled cleanly again by Downfus. Back to Malakoff. Drives the shot. Perfectly timed block there by Ian Moran. But, oh, he is stung.
He may not be real happy that he blocked that one, but it was a heck of a block. Again, Malakoff has got a cannon. Just a cannon of a shot. And it takes some guts, all right, to lay down in front of it, especially when the guy's only about 10 or 15 feet away. Ian Moran has been such an all-purpose guy for them. He'll do anything. Plays forward defense. Yeah, that one got him up in the abdominal area. Missed all the padding. There's nothing in the stomach area.
Ian Moran, Brian, played all of about 10 minutes total in the first two games. He's just a situational guy, such as a penalty-killing situation like this.
Yeah, he's a defenseman playing forward. He'll go out there for energy, as they like to call the fourth lines all the time, and a good energy guy. He'll throw his weight around, and he will definitely block shots, and that's very valuable, especially when killing penalties.
Here was Malakoff now, starting it back for the Canadiens. Crosses the center ice line, puts it high on the glass, so Barrasso can't handle it. Now Rosinski and Downfus play it back to the line. Brisebois, left point for Malakoff. Brisebois straight away, hands it off one time by Downfus, didn't get much on it. And Ian Moran able to clear. Don Booth is hit, and the playoff side at the Pittsburgh line.
That play looked a little bit sloppy when Andy Moog was trying to catch Pittsburgh on a line change. We're in Game 3 here, of course. Since 1987, the winner of Game 3 in a 1-1 series has won 55 of 86 games, 64%. And last year, 7 series were tied at 1 after 2 games. Winner of Game 3 won all 7 series. So, obviously, Game 3, pretty pivotal. Andy Moog came out and made the play, trying to scoop the puck up the ice to his cohorts up front. They're on the power play. This is the second period, and the teams are farthest away from their own bench. Line changes are critical. This is what we're talking about. Andy made no hesitation at all. You see 3 Canadians over on that side. They never got good control of it, unfortunately, for Andy, though.
Down to a minute 23 left in the Pronger penalty for the Penguins as Hatcher had everybody on that Montreal bench backing out of the way as he slammed it off the boards right in front of their bench. Down Foose. Malakoff now for Recchi. He sends it deep. Tamer back there now for the Penguins. Hatcher will drive it around the boards and out.
Montreal's not getting the dump-ins that they want. When you dump it in, obviously there has to be a plan of who's going to go in there and get it. Recchi was trying for the cross-corner dump to get somebody from the off-wing side to go in. Pittsburgh got to it and got it out easy.
Here is Corson with it. Shane Corson fights off a Hatcher check around the board. Malakoff right point, puts it back in deep. Corson hustling forward. Don Booth there as well. Don Booth tried to center. Tamer blocked it. Don Booth again hands it off for Recchi. Recchi off the boards now for Malakoff. Rolls it back in deep. Don Booth for Corson. Corson in the corner for Don Booth. He skates out top of the circle. Recchi setting up in the middle of the penalty-killing box. It goes to Corson. Rolls it back down for Recchi. 20 seconds left of the Pronger penalty. Here is Corson with a chance. Save rebound was stopped as well by Barrasso. Centering pass. Score! 3 times, and it finally works for Shane Corson.
Pittsburgh went to sleep here, down low in front of Tommy Barrasso. He just didn't get any help. Shane Corson gets 2 right there. Look at all the black jerseys. Who's got Corson? Nobody. They knock him down at the end. Corson says, finally. But look at the jersey. All black. Corson getting knocked down. Again, the play starts from behind Barrasso. He constantly is turning around from looking over his shoulder to trying to get square to the shooter in front of the net. Pittsburgh's got to clean that up, but there is no excuse there for Shane Corson to get 3 free whacks at the puck. 34th goal of the playoffs for Shane. In his career, that is. Otherwise, there'd be a heck of a series so far, wouldn't it?
That's a heck of a playoff year. And an outstanding career as well for Shane Corson. Those numbers, his 34th playoff goal. First of these playoffs. And on the power play. So the Canadians converting with a man advantage. Here is Jagr now trying to make the move on Ulanov, who knocked it free. Francis tries to move it up the board, but he is pinned to the wall, and Ulanov sends it across down far in front of Thornton. Vincent Damphousse gets his second assist of this game.
That's a nice pop for Corson's numbers, too, because he came into this game -4 after 2 games.
Here is Francis laying it back now for Olafson, and Francis took a hit from Mark Bureau. Here is Jagr now. He's hearing it from the Canadian crowd every time he touches the puck. Fans on the shot. That's something that they cheer. Jagr now trying to find an open man with the Canadians closed off the lane. Bordeleau plays it ahead now for Stevenson. Brzezinski goes for the net. The shot was saved by Barrasso. Canadians have some speed and pressure going on now against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Barnes coming in and a quick whistle. They have a losing record on home ice in the regular season, but the home fans are cheering tonight.
The Flyers had just killed a 2-man advantage, equal strength. Check out the pass from Matthew Barnaby from behind the cage. Check, please. Michael Grosic's 3rd goal of the playoffs. Dominik Hasek has a 2-goal lead.
Jaromir Jagr on the rush last time out. Ends up turning the puck over. Good concentration on Jagr, but watch the white jerseys in the middle of the ice come flying back. They have excellent transition game. They turn it into a shot on goal on Tom Barrasso. So the speed and quickness of Montreal Canadiens kicking in here in the second.
Here is Quintal with it. Bumbled it for a moment. Now Rosinski tried to hand it off for Quintal. Savage picks it up, and a good stop there by Barrasso. Looked like he was screened on the play. Wawrinka had it knocked away. Here is Savage again. It goes to the corner. Rosinski, who has one of the 2 goals. He's got 2 in the series. Wawrinka plays it along now for Rob Brown. He's got Hicks out in front of him. Dumps it in looking for Sean Pronger, but Andy Moog timed it perfectly. Played it off the boards, and then Brown was whacked by Quintal. Ulanov for the Canadian plays it around, and that deflects down inside the Pittsburgh zone. Tamer being chased by Savage. Tamer able to fight off the check. Rob Brown slides it ahead now. Robert Lang. Lang into the zone. Gets the shot away. Moog to stop there. Lang did a great job with Ulanov on him to get that shot away. Tamer sends it in deep. Lang has it there. Hands it off now for Straka. Martin Straka tried to put it in front. Blocked by Ulanov and picked up by Recchi. Back the other way. Recchi's got Brunet going up that far side. Recchi waits. Snaps the shot, and it deflects over the glass and out of play. Tamer roughing up Recchi. It is 2-1 Canadiens. Well, Tom Barrasso and the Penguins had a 1-0 lead in this game, but the Canadiens have come back with 2 unanswered, 1 in the first and another one here in the second period.
Tommy's made some good saves here in the second period, too. Montreal's come out with some good jump. Mark Recchi and the boys are flying. Barrasso even made 1 or 2 saves I don't think he even saw. The last break was actually a 3-on-2 to start for Montreal, but Stefan Quintal was the third man jumping up from the fence. He was so tired, he just turned and went to the bench. Recchi was looking at him, looked back at the man he was up against. When he looked back, Quintal was gone. So he just took the shot on net, and Barrasso made the save. It turned into a whistle.
Recchi to take the face-off here. He did draw an assist on the goal by Corson. So that was his first point of this series. And again, Recchi taking the draw, not Shane Corson. So yeah, it doesn't appear that Corson's going to be taking any face-offs.
No, it's peculiar after, as I said, being the only guy to be even 500 in Game 2. He's taken progressively fewer in the next game, and then again here tonight. John Bushakras in the studio. What do you got?
It's all about the Czech Republic tonight. 2-0 Buffalo. It's Shatan again. Second goal of the game. 3 goals in this game, all by Czechs, and of course the goalie's a pretty good Czech too.
Yeah, check it out, John. You're right.
Boy, that place will be rocking. Buffalo must be going crazy.
Well, Alain Vigneault's club considered the underdog. I mean, you've got the Canadiens the 7th seed and Pittsburgh the number 2 seed because of the fact they won their division. But a lot of people felt, we talked about this earlier, including our own Barry Melrose, as they broke down the series before the playoffs started, this might be the hardest one to pick, the most competitive.
Yep. And I think they were comfortable matched up against each other, too, which was kind of unusual. Montreal, there was a lot of talk about them. Don't want to play Philly, don't want to play this team. I think Pittsburgh quietly felt kind of the same sort of thing. I think they were glad to have Montreal as well.
Olsen drops it back for Jagr now, trying to get some speed into the Canadian zone. Jagr tries to make the move. Popovich got just enough of him, but Jagr continues to battle. Oh, he took a hit there by Thornton, and a shot here by Olsen ends up high off the glass. Big hit by Thornton on Jaromir Jagr, who appears to be shaken up a bit.
He took that one right on the side of the jaw. That took some starch out of him.
Bureau sends it ahead now for Thornton, and is slapped away by Olsen. Rob Brown lifts it up the glass, but Zarley Zalapski got a stick on it to hold it in. And back comes Yuri Slager. Slager over the line, had it poked away.
Jagr on the rush, came down with a tremendous amount of speed, got stopped up by the defense, and boy did he take a lick from Thornton. This is after the rush. He comes back, and look at Thornton coming in. He had them all lined up. Jagr didn't see him till the last second. He kind of shrugs it off like it didn't bother him. Here's another look. You can see he was reaching, but when you start reaching like that, it makes you really susceptible. Jagr went pretty much right to the bench afterwards. Those start to add up, and we saw some pretty good shots on him in the first period by Manson, that took him into the boards hard. Ulanov took him into the boards a couple of times. Hits given 6, hits Kate 22, and we're not even at the halfway point yet in this hockey game.
So the face-off outside the Montreal zone.
It's a good thing Yager has got lots of size, because that's the way the entire series has gone for him. They have really been selectively running at him. It's tough to get him in open ice. They've tagged him a couple of times, but they pop him along the boards.
Alex Hicks with it, plays it ahead. Ulanov going back to hammer it off the glass, and it bounces right off of Marinka and into the Penguins bench. Out of play. Well, Saku Koivu is not playing, and there's been some speculation about if or when he'll play in this series. And considering the fact that he is hurt, the nature of the injury, would you play him tonight? That was a decision for Alain Vigneault, and I'm sure for Saku Koivu as well. And when you look at his numbers, as we talked about at the top of the show, leading the team with 43 assists. But did you and I were talking, Brian, because of the video replay and the nature of where the injury was, even if he can come back and handle the pain, everybody on the Pittsburgh team knows which hand it is, and they'd be going right after it.
Yeah, they'd be whacking it, that's for sure. And it's only for the coaches to know how badly the Canadians may have needed a lift, and that's the angle we were trying to get at and why we asked the question. We didn't know for sure whether or not he was going to play. He's their star player. He gives them a very big lift. He could really ignite the first line. All those were good reasons to put him in, and so you have to think, if you're a coach, do we really need that now? Do these guys, it's tough for us to tell from our vantage point. They don't appear to be sagging in any way, and certainly in this game, it's turned out that Montreal's played very strong. But before the game, obviously, we didn't know which way it was going to go.
So in other words, even if Koivu can't play anywhere near his capability, just his presence might be a reason to put him in the lineup.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, if a coach feels that the club is sagging and they need that boost, they may have put Koivu in the lineup just to give the team a boost, even if he played only 3 or 4 shifts. But they decided to hold him out, probably wise.
Well, Koivu, of course, wears 11 for the Canadians, and this number 11 for the Penguins, a pretty important guy as well. And here they are getting ready to make a change, and whoops, he says, I don't think it's my turn. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I better go back.
Who told me to go? He says, who told me?
Brian, you were in that situation on a bench. I mean, how many different guys are yelling for changes? Are you specifically watching the guy that you're going to replace on the ice, or are you listening to voices of coaches behind you?
Well, only the coaches behind you. Usually there's, you know, the odd guy on the bench is yelling at somebody out on the ice, but the coach will tap you on the back if he can. That's the obvious and best sign, but they usually yell their name out pretty quick. But sometimes when there's line matchups, there's confusion.
Yager back out there again. The Canadian crowd booing every time he touches the puck. Here's Straka back to Slager. Francis picks it up now. Back to the line. A shot hit a skate. And it's picked up and cleared by Stevenson all the way back inside the Pittsburgh zone. Olofsson rolls it across there. Yuri Slager. He missed Straka. And Malakoff circling back into his own zone. Now his cross-ice pass was deflected. Sean Pronger unable to hold it in. Here comes Ruzhinsky now. One-on-one against Slager. Down Foose has the gun cocked. Oh, he got a lot on that one-timer, but it was blocked by Olofsson. And Hicks now for the Penguins plays it around.
Ruzhinsky and Danfus really work well together. They have excellent feel. They've played together for a long time. That was a really good pass on the fly from Ruzhinsky for Danfus to one time from well out.
Danfus looked for him again, but it didn't quite work. Now Savage plays it off the boards. It's picked up by Ruzhinsky trying to fight off Pronger. Ruzhinsky one-hands it toward Barrasso, but the Penguins able to clear. Back comes Olofsson now, handing it off. Warenka up the right side. Rob Brown between the circles, snaps the shot. And it's sailed high and wide of Andy Moog. John Pronger with it. Now Ruzhinsky. And it's out to center right for Don Booth. Ruzhinsky took a big hit from Rob Brown. Meanwhile, back the other way. Savage at the hash mark. Waits. Now trying to spin away from Kasparaitis, who played him well. Pronger clears it off the board.
That turned into nothing for Montreal. It was essentially a 4-on-2 to start on a bad line change for Pittsburgh, and Savage held on.
Here's Morozov to the backhand after he slipped through the Montreal defense. His original shot was blocked, and he got the break, Brian, when the puck just laid there, and he was able to walk in.
Yeah, you need a little luck in order to get scoring chances. That's true a lot of the time, and Morozov got some here. On the fly, takes the shot. Ulanov says, where is it? He knows it hit him, but you're not supposed to turn around and look for the puck. When you're backing up as a defenseman, you don't know where the puck is. All the more reason you got to play the guy who shot it. Morozov knew he had a good chance. In other games, he had a penalty shot. He has not been able to get anything by Andy Moog yet.
More Stanley Cup action immediately following this game here on the Deuce, as the St. Louis Blues will try to take a real stranglehold in that Western Conference quarterfinal. The LA Kings and the St. Louis Blues, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, immediately following our action here on the Deuce. And John Saunders may have said it best about the LA Kings. They played badly in Game 1 and lost. They played a great game in Game 2 and lost. So what is left? Do they have anything left in their tank? And I'm sure Larry Robinson will have something ready for the first game on their home ice in the series.
Yeah, they'll certainly be full of energy in their first game in the last couple of years back at in Inglewood at Great Western Forum, so they have to generate that enthusiasm in the right direction. That'll be key.
Icing here on the touch-up by Kevin Hatcher. The Montreal Canadiens have the only goal of the second, and so the Pittsburgh Penguins find themselves trailing Montreal 2-1.
Well, the gold medal this year, of course, was won by the Czechoslovakian team. Robert Lang was there. Kenny Morrow, the only player ever to win both the Stanley Cup and a gold medal in the same season, way back in 1980 with Team USA. And then the Islanders, Martin Rusinski was on that Czech team as well. And there's a list of those players, and includes Yuri Slager. The interesting thing is that Lang, Slaka, and Rusinski have known each other since they were about 4 years old. They grew up together. So to win that gold medal together was terrific. Now they're against each other here in these Stanley Cup playoffs.
That was a set play on the faceoff as Slager was looking for Hatcher. And it comes now to Bureau. Bureau looking across for Malakoff. Malakoff back to Bureau on the give and go. Drives the shot, deflected by Barrasso. Picked up by Hatcher along the boards. Now Francis. Oh, Malakoff had Francis lined up and drilled him to the ice. Centering pass. Slager going to the net. Moog is down but hops back up as Popovich was being physical with the Pittsburgh defenseman Yuri Slager.
There have been some wild hits in this game. It's getting to that point now where it's getting wild. Malakoff made a really good run at Francis from the standpoint is he knew he had him in the headlights, and he really popped them good. And you want to hit those big star players whenever you can. The players are really going out of their way for big hits on both teams.
Canadians able to clear, but Olofsson is back there for the Penguins. 7:45 remaining here in the second period at the Molson Center. It's a 2-1 lead for the home team Canadians as Barrasso around the boards now for Olofsson. Backhands it down into the Montreal zone. Manson has it there. Now it comes to Brisebois to Recchi. Lead pass now for Corson. Shane Corson looking to go wide. Drops it off. Slaps a shot. Saved by Barrasso, who was moving to his left and had to lean back to his right to get that one.
That was a terrific snapshot. Scott Thornton just ripped that one. Tommy Barrasso had all he could handle in that.
Here is Recchi with a steal. Recchi closing in, trying to go far side and didn't miss by much. Brisebois again. Now it comes to Thornton. Thornton trying to hand it off to Recchi, a little bit behind him. And the Penguins, Robert Lang drops it back. Olofsson clears it all the way down. And with the icing call, we'll go back to the studio for another update. And John Buccigross. John?
Dave, Buffalo had the third most shorthanded goals during the regular season. 3-0. Flyers on the power play. Daryl Shannon, nothing but net. 4-0 Buffalo. Just 45 seconds later, from Parma, Ohio, Brian Holzinger. 2 power play goals in 45 seconds. 5-0 Buffalo with Hasek. That's like 500-0.
Wow.
Well, that sets the table for some excitement, Brian, for you and I going in on the Deuce. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. It'll be Game 4, and it looks like it'll be Buffalo that'll be looking to take the commanding 3-1 lead back to Philadelphia. And do you think they'll be writing about goaltending in the Philadelphia papers?
I would say so. It had been a non-factor. Sean Burke had been great if he hadn't outplayed Hasek perhaps overall in the first 2 games. Not happening tonight, obviously.
Here is Hicks trying to get through. It was broken up following the play, though. Rob Brown for Hicks. Pronger in the area as well, but the Canadians get to it. Kasparaitis pitched in, could not hold it in. Brown stumbled a bit, but still got a stick on the puck. Now the Penguins lay it back into the Montreal zone. Canadians able to clear. There's a man punching up the middle. Savage. Oh, and he took the shoulder of Darius Kasparaitis right in the chops.
And the fans would like to have an interference call, too, because Savage never touched that puck. Savage and Kasparaitis had a collision prior to that, and it's what gave Savage the advantage in the foot race, trying to go to the middle of the ice. And the pass from the defenseman, I believe, Ulanov, was just a hair in front. Kasparaitis had Savage lined up pretty well. Got a good piece of him. He just plain cuts him off. Good hit there by Kasparaitis, but Savage never touched it.
Brian Savage had 7 game-winning goals during the regular season to lead the Montreal Canadiens, and here he is. Kasparaitis doesn't care if it's Brian Savage, who it is. If you've got the opposite colored jersey on, he's going after you.
If you looked up streaky in the dictionary, Brian Savage picture is there. And he finished the end of the season with 3 goals, and I know Pittsburgh was really worried about him coming in the series.
Hatcher with a screen shot that somehow stayed out of there. All kinds of traffic in front of Andy Moog. And a penalty coming here, and it looks like it's going to be Popovich. He's the one arguing with Terry Gregson.
We've seen a lot of penalties in traffic at both ends of the ice, particularly, though, in front of Andy Moog and the Montreal Canadiens end. First period was the same way. Good shot by Hatcher. Look at the waters clear there for Moog to get a good look at it. But off to the side, to the right of the screen, I believe is where it's going to happen. Oh, there it is right there in the crease area. Popovich, number 34, man in the penalty box. Holdings, tackling, whatever you want to call it.
From our vantage point, it looked like that was a screenshot, but you're right. The parting of the sea there, as Andy Moog really did have a pretty good look at that blast by Hatcher.
1 for 9. First 2 games tonight, 0 for 4.
And just 2 shots on goal and 4 power plays. That's not nearly enough.
They've not been sharp. They really have not been sharp on their power play at all. They've had trouble bringing it up with authority and setting it up. And once they have, they just don't seem to have a good idea of what they want to do. On several occasions, they get the puck over to Jaromir Jagr on the boards, and then the rest of them just have sort of stood and nothing has happened from there. So they put all the onus on Jagr to do something.
Jagr's all the way over on the far side of the ice for this faceoff, but Mark Bureau spoils any strategy they may have been trying to employ, and Rene just offside on the play there at the Pittsburgh line. The veteran Ray Scapanello right on top of that.
Well, there have been fewer penalties in this second period. There were so many of them in the first period, and that really sets a lot of teams off. It's really difficult for players to get into the flow. Only the top 2 lines on each play, on each team rather, like Stu Barnes, would get a lot of ice time when you have power plays and penalty-killing situations. But finally, in this second period, there has been much more flow by both teams, and therefore the tempo has been quicker, and that plays into the hands, or is more favorable, rather, for Montreal.
Well, there were 6 power plays in that first period, Brian, plus a full 2-minute 4-on-4, so you're right, not a whole lot of 5-on-5. No. Well, less than half the period. Power play here for Pittsburgh, their 5th of the hockey game, as Hatcher rolls it across. It's knocked down by Brunet. Delayed offside, and now they'll call it.
I talked to Kevin Hatcher a little bit this morning. We've not seen him jump up on the play very often. And I asked him if he had gotten specific instructions from the coaches in the playoffs to stay back and play a conservative game. He just sort of smiled and said, no, it's nothing different than it's been all year long. Yeah. But he said that I'm not leading the rush anymore. Yeah, and he kind of laughed and walked out the door. He'd like to do it. He's had some terrific years. Scored 10-plus goals in 11 consecutive seasons. 19 goals this year. Not bad at all. I believe 13 of those are on the power play.
Yes.
So he certainly knows how to pick his spots and move up on the play, but he's more likely to only do it in these playoffs on the power play than he is 5-on-5.
Originally a first-round pick of the Washington Capitals back in 1984. Has made the playoffs every year of his NHL career, with the exception of 1996 with the Dallas Stars. See the time remaining here in the second period, and it's over a minute and a half left in the penalty to Peter Popovich. As Hatcher's pass was blocked, he'll get it back now center ice. Now Jagr with it. He has checked off the puck, and the crowd here in Montreal appreciating that. Olesen slides it ahead, and Hatcher plays it ahead for Jagr. He hands it off now for Barnes, and Francis was just in ahead of the playoff side.
Jaromir Jagr is a little bit frustrated. He's headed to his own bench rather right away. He's also a little bit tired, but there was pure frustration after that whistle was called. Pittsburgh still unable to get anything going. Every time he's got the puck, there's been a white jersey very close to him, so that's always frustrating for any player. And Jagr has been known to show his frustration very visibly, and Montreal will feed on that. I think Jaramir's got to be careful to try and show a positive face no matter how he's feeling, because if Montreal thinks they're getting to him, they're going to pour it on even more.
the Montreal Canadiens, as we pointed out, a losing record, 15 wins, 17 losses on home ice in the regular season. But they have had quite a bit of energy in this game.
In the second period especially, and again because of the fewer penalties, Dave, I think it's really made the big difference.
Here is Recchi now. That's the shot, and it deflected, and Barrasso got down along the ice with a glove to stop it. Wawrinka now has a goal in this series. Brown tips it ahead. Olchuk has lying in front of the net, but it's deflected away by Recchi. So Recchi had the scoring chance at one end. It comes back and makes the defensive play at the other.
He may not have scored at the other end, but it was just as good what he did there. A screw up by Montreal in their coverage. Recchi had to come back and save a goal.
Here is Rob Brown. And to weave his way through. Malakoff, though, with the loose puck, able to clear. Perhaps time for one more Pittsburgh rush here, with the penalty to Popovich, who's standing up in the Montreal penalty box. Francis with a drive that was blocked by Ulanov. Manson tried to roll it around the board. There was blocked centering pass, hit the back of the net, and it's cleared center ice, and that'll do it.
Ulanov made a good block there, but when he goes down like that on one knee, Ronnie Francis, I expect next time will shoot it just a few inches to the side of him. He tried to fit it between the legs. Ulanov fooled him and went down. But if Ronnie gets by him next time, that's a screenshot for Mogan. Very difficult for him to see.
Hansen plays it ahead. Here's Don Foose collecting the pass for Savage. Drives the shot, the save by Barrasso. And he makes sure emphatically that he has it in the glove to keep it at 2-1 Canadiens late in the second.
Mark Recchi had an excellent last shift. He was killing penalties. He went up the ice. He had a good shot on net. But more importantly, he came back at the other end and he arrived just at the nick of time in front of the net and saved the goal because Pittsburgh was in prime scoring position.
Mark Recchi had a very swollen right ankle after Game 2, and there was some concern. He was going to have x-rays, and he decided not to have x-rays. Yeah. He said, doesn't matter. If it's broken, I'm playing anyway. And it certainly doesn't seem to have affected Mark Recchi's skating. He has been moving well. Penguins control this face-off. Hatcher. It's deflected ahead. Thornton steps in front of Straka. Here's Robert Lang with it now. Lang trying to break free from a check. And it's deflected away from him over the glass and out of play. Well, let's take a look at our Coors Light storyline so far here in Game 3. Yager with a goal. He has taken 23 hits in this series. Montreal goals from Ruzhinsky and Corson. And on the power play, well, it doesn't take much of a difference to make a difference in the series, and Montreal has the lead.
And our Coors Light replay is Shane Corson's goal to make it 2-1. He gets 3 whacks at it in front. Pittsburgh Penguins players are all around the front. Nobody goes to Corson quickly enough. He says, thank you very much, 2-1 Montreal. And again, Shane's still not taking any face-offs.
Right.
And I'm wondering again if he's having hand problems or something like that because of his success earlier in the series of taking face-offs when no other Montreal Canadian had any success.
Well, you're talking about special teams. Buffalo has 2 power play goals and 2 shorthanded goals. In their 5-0 lead, and a whistle here and an interference call coming as Thornton comes in on Morozov and gives him a shot with the stick.
Looks like another interference call, I believe. This one may be face-off interference, which we've seen a lot of this season. Turner Stevenson, the latest culprit. So Pittsburgh will go on the power play. And they need to generate something here. Pittsburgh is down a little bit right now, and they're down because of their power play, actually. Their inability to move the puck around the way they would like to, and they've got to get something generated, get some confidence going in this power play so it'll spill over. Here's the last play, off the face-off, Turner Stevenson to the right of the screen. And I'm not quite sure. It looked like it was along the boards there.
Yeah.
It was a strange time that the arm came up.
And here comes Thornton. He's not sure what the call is, but he's going to get a little shot in on Morozov with the opportunity.
A lot of that stuff been going on in this game. That's playoff time.
So, power play number 6. How often can Montreal go to this well? Not that they're trying to go to it, but putting the Penguins on the power play. Pittsburgh unable to convert so far. Now this puck is knocked down by Malakoff. He may look to go here. He's got Berdan on his left. Malakoff forcing the issue. And then wisely holds up when he lost control. Malakoff was dumped away from the play. Crowd looking for an interference call, and there's an intercept by Brunet. as Stu Barnes was open on the far side.
Stu Barnes had knocked down Malakoff way back into the neutral zone. The fans wanted a penalty, and I think they had a good point. It was interference.
Yager getting a stick on that puck in behind the Montreal goal. It's along the boards, hit a skate, and taking advantage of that was Brunet to clear.
Pittsburgh just can't get the puck in there under control and get a plan developed at all on their power play.
Here is Yager. Manson again plays him aggressively, and Manson getting some support as Brisebois clears. Yager and Manson having some words as the play goes back up the ice. Here is Stu Barnes with it. One of the heroes of Game 2. Hands it off now for Lang. Robert Lang waits. Now rolls it across. Slager is there. Yuri Slager off the boards. Brown trying to help it along, but the Canadians again get to it. And it's dumped down the ice. Barrasso coming way out. Ahead of Mark Recchi to clear it off the glass. Just over half a minute left in this Pittsburgh man advantage. Under 2 minutes left in the period. And the Penguins, Brian, just can't get anything set up.
No matter how they come up the ice, it's not right. And they've changed it and done different things every time they come up the ice. They pass it different times. Sometimes they pass it early and try to carry it. Other times they try to pass it 3 or 4 times up the ice, as they go up the ice, rather. Nothing's working. Montreal turns it over time after time.
Now a loose puck in front of the Pittsburgh bench. Lang has it. Robert Lang into the zone. Hands it off now for Olchuk. Back to the point. Warenka coming out of the box. Stevenson tipped it from Moog. A big stop there right at the end of the power play. Andy Moog once again. It's not that he's been called upon that often, Brian, before the timing of his saves. He just comes up with the big saves at the right time.
And that's always the key. He's been really sharp in that department, no doubt.
Here's a steal by Stevenson, trying to get it in front. A chance for Barrasso to stop on Savage. Gordon with it, tried to roll it across for Savage and hit a skate. Backhanded, and Barrasso decides to cover up. Oh, the Canadians come close here in the final minute of period 2.
Well, things turn really sloppy very quickly for Pittsburgh. Montreal all over it. Turner Stevenson, a couple other guys down low. Montreal was in the process of a line change as well. So they got some fresh bodies. Unfortunately, if there hadn't been a line change, that's Stevenson with a quick turnaround. If they had not been in the process of a line change, there would have been more players already on the scene from Montreal. That could have given them a much better chance to score. But you could see how everything continued on, and Pittsburgh hasn't been able to sort things out a lot of times down low very well. Here's Andy Moog with the quick save down low. Good quick feet.
Yeah.
That right foot rather just shot out very quickly at the last second, and he booted it off to the side, luckily, because you could see where Robert Lang was directly in front.
You know, when you look at the platoon system the Canadians used all year with Moog and Thibault basically splitting the starting duties, and think about it for a guy like Andy Moog with his mental approach to the game. If he physically takes care of himself, I mean, he looks like he could play another 5 or 10 years.
He's so smart. Yeah, I mean, he's tremendously smart, so experienced. He doesn't need to play a lot of games to be ready. He just needs to get himself ready, feel like he's on a roll, and he was able to do that at the end of the year. And of course, that's why they brought him here, to settle down Thibault and to give them a good start in the playoffs. He's already done it.
Malakoff with a wrist shot that was blocked by Morozov. Now the puck cleared up the boards, but it's Popovich.
Kevin Hatcher, is hurting out there. Oh, he's really lucky he didn't take a penalty there. Kevin Hatcher's frustrated because he got whacked in the face. He took it out on Stevenson and didn't get a penalty.
And the puck was nowhere near Stevenson.
No.
That's why he was looking for a penalty call. Now Morozov behind the net for Yager. Still has his stick free. Reaching out to try to make the play. Popovich. Now Stevenson clears it to the line. 11 seconds left in the period, but the Canadians able to get to it and finish the job clearing the zone. Olesen rolls it back. And that's going to do it for the second period, a period in which the Canadians get the only goal.
Kevin Hatcher shaken up, as you can see. He got whacked in the eye, right by the right eye there. He was not a happy camper. He decided he was going to take it out on the nearest white jersey that came near him. That happened to be Turner Stevenson. For black, there's the high stick at the bottom of your screen. And of course it was Stevenson that got him. You can see the pain that he's in. Probably has blurred vision. The puck is in his zone. He can't do anything about it. But watch when Turner Stevenson comes around to the front of the net here. He got a really good elbow in there. The puck was nowhere in sight, but no penalty was called.
Well, in each of the first 2 games of this series, the team that has had the lead after 2 periods has gone on to win. Montreal has the 2-1 lead. Stay with us. ESPN News Network for their history and tradition, but this is probably the first playoff conehead in the history of this franchise.
There is nothing traditional that I see there. Well, Zalapsky has spent some time out there against Yager. It has not been as noticeable since Game 1.
Yep.
You see the shifts there for Zalapsky, 9 out of 12, but you just haven't seen them eye to eye as often. And here in our free play, number 3 red on the board. And a face-off inside the Pittsburgh zone. He'll go from the right boards, just get in the vicinity of Jaromir Jagr, and then he backs up like a defenseman. That's what Jagr saw an awful lot of in Game 1. He's seen it more in Game 2 and Game 3, but not as consistently.
That number 3 continuing to make the right defensive plays in a Montreal uniform, as it did when Brian Engblom wore it. Back in that old, 16-team league?
Yeah, there's black and white TV.
Battling back now is Stevenson, working against Francis. Popovich there for the Canadians. Well, it comes free to the line. Moog, a screen shot there, and he had to be sharp against Olesen. Popovich took a hit there from Francis. Good job by Slager to hold it in. He gets free for a chance, and it's deflected up over top of the net. Malakoff backhanding it along the boards down the ice. And this will be an icing call on the touch-up by Olesen. And the Canadians have done well. This includes the playoffs in which they've had the lead once. That was in Game 1, the game that they won, 24-3-5.
Well, a team that struggled so mightily at home. Again, regular season finishing under 500 at home for the first time in over 50 years. But they have accomplished what they wanted to. If you look at their home and road record, they've accomplished what they wanted to in this game as far as getting off to a good start, and obviously with the 2-1 lead here after 2 periods, they're in the driver's seat. So they don't want to sit back and just play defense, because that gives Pittsburgh too much time, too many chances. I don't think Montreal wants to sit on a 1-goal lead.
Again, it's Recchi stepping in to take the face-off against Robert Lang. This second line for Pittsburgh has not been nearly as noticeable and as effective. Lang, Morozov, and Straka. They win this draw. Hatcher, a backhander. Sent to the corner and then cleared by Manson. Picked up by Brunet. He was the hero of Game 1 with the overtime goal. He carries deep against Kamer. Brunet protecting the puck. Hands it off to Recchi. Recchi centering attempt. Hit a skate. Off the boards for Corson. Hatcher steps into him. They both go down. Now Brunet back for Corson. Corson spins the other way. Recchi comes up to get the puck. Hands it back to Corson. Hatcher steps into him. Brunet picks it up. Good cycling here by the Canadians. Brunet working against Kamer now. Brunet back to the line. Manson sends it back in deep, looking for Corson. Corson centering pass to the skate. Corson has it again. Corson looking out in front. Tried to wrap it in front. It was blocked. Line gets there, plays it along the boards, and it's picked up by Morozov. He tried to hop around Manson, but Manson played him well.
And again, that was Shane Corson coming out from behind Tom Barrasso. This got to be 6 or 7 times at least in this game, maybe more. And I think it's starting to get on Barrasso's nerves. Pittsburgh's got to move to those Montreal players in behind Barrasso a little bit quicker, because those quick passes from out behind the net to in front are so tough for the goaltender to square up on.
Here is Damphus now sending it back the other way for Ruzhinsky. Ruzhinsky being lined up by Warenka. Sends it back now for Savage. Off the boards for Damphus. Damphus played aggressively there by Kasparaitis, but Damphus bounces right back up. Ruzhinsky takes it all the way across the Pittsburgh zone. Still has it now for Damphus. Cycling in the corner with Savage. Damphus tried to pass it to the front to Ruzhinsky. Here is Damphus with it again. Took a hack there from Pronger. Savage has it in the corner to the face-off circle. That hit a skate on the way through to Barrasso. And it's picked up and cleared by Rob Brown.
That's the kind of shift you like to have early on in a period, any period. Montreal with some good cycling, sustained action down low, keeping the puck deep in Pittsburgh's end.
Tinkoff on the boards forces Barrasso to make a stop there when Olesen turns with just over 3 minutes gone by here in the third period. Dubon plays it ahead right into the Montreal bench. So the Canadians coming out strong with this 1-goal lead early in the third. Especially of the visiting team, but I don't see a whole lot other than the Club de Hockey Canadien logo on flags and T-shirts and hats as you look around the Molson Center here.
That's for sure.
Malakoff to Bureau. Deflects down to Zalapsky. Is Zalapsky out there with Malakoff, Popovich, 3 defensemen against the Yager, Francis, and Barnes line. Is Slager now for the Penguins. Sends it ahead looking for Barnes, and that'll be a 2-line pass. Well, of course, we mentioned that Benoit Brunet was the hero of Game 1. A great feed from Malakoff and short side high on Barrasso. And look at the Montreal Canadiens' all-time playoff record. What's unusual is the last number. That's not a misprint. 69 wins, 47 losses, and 2 ties, Brian.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. The reason is, way back in the 1930s, they used to play 2 total goals. So in Game 1, Montreal won a game against Chicago 1-0. In Game 2, Chicago won the game 2-1. So at the end of regulation, they had to go into overtime anyway. Montreal won the game, scored a goal in overtime to win the series, but it only tied the game at 2-2. Montreal actually has 2 ties in overtime in playoff history. Pretty wild.
Here is Barnes pulling it in on Moog. It was deflected, and the puck is cleared off the glove of Slager. So they had to play the overtime because obviously after regulation of Game 2, each team had scored 2 goals in the series.
Right.
This is wild. Steal by Recchi. Now we were looking back at that. The Boston Bruins apparently have 3 overtime ties in their playoff history. Puck rolls in on Moog. He has to steer with the side. Brisebois is hit there by Lang. Straka could not control the loose puck. And Recchi backhands it. Corson now gloves it ahead, trying to get through Tamer. Now there's 2 aggressive players going at each other. Now Brunet tries to pick it out of the feet. Brunet checked by Straka. Corson moving all body parts. Gets it loose, and Recchi fired it right through the crease area. Deflected by Brunet, right in on Barrasso. He comes out to shoot it out, hammers it off the board. Poked ahead by Morozov, but not very far. Recchi takes over again for the Canadiens. Brisebois sends it into the Pittsburgh zone. Hatcher tried to slide it softly out of there and nearly gave it up to Ruzhinsky, who still manages to keep it in. Now Savage in on Tamer. Lang along the boards for Straka. Nice play off the boards to Hatcher, and again didn't get enough wood on that backhand pass. Ruzhinsky intercept.
The onus is on Pittsburgh to get something going. So far, they have not shown any signs of doing it. There's very little tempo in this third period. That's the Montreal's advantage, even though they're the speed team. They are sitting on a 2-1 lead right now.
Penguins have 2 shots in this third period. Canadiens with just 1. Ulanov took a hit from Hicks. Kasparaitis holds it in. Easy stop there for Moog. Plays it off the boards. Getting to it is Hicks. Now he's run hard by Ulanov. Quintal with a loose puck. Plays it up the right side in the skates of Savage. And so the Canadiens will change as Wawrinka plays it ahead now for Brown. It is picked up by Pronger. Backhands it through the crease. Knocked away by Moog. Kasparaitis pinches in. And Quintal for the Canadiens able to clear. Wawrinka puts it off the glass. Both teams changing.
We see a lot of games like this where the team that's leading sits on it and there's no tempo in the play. The danger with that is it's only a 1-goal game. If Pittsburgh happens to score here, they all of a sudden have the momentum. Montreal's been sitting back. It's very difficult for them to all of a sudden just step on the gas and get something going offensively again. So it's kind of a dangerous way to play. You can't lose all of your offensive momentum completely.
May have seen that happen yesterday with the Detroit Red Wings and Phoenix Coyotes. Detroit got 2 goals in the first minute and 2 seconds of that game. And unable to add on to that. Coyotes' patience paid off. Yager with a chance here, and picking it off the left pad is Andy Moog.
Well, we talked about Saku Koivu and the fact that he wasn't playing before this game started. And our Sports Zone question was, with Saku Koivu's injury, would you play him tonight, yes or no? Hop on the internet at ESPN.com and give us your vote. And, of course, what we were talking about there is Recchi came into this game with 0 points. And he is used to playing with Saku Koivu. Koivu is an integral part of that number 1 line, along with Corson on the other wing. Corson had 1 point coming into this game. Corson scored in this game here. But a guy like Koivu is going to be missed. There's no doubt, and Mark Recchi misses him.
Other reason it's interesting to look at Mark Recchi as we talk about injuries. He's played in 543 consecutive regular season games, and you know he's played some games when he's been less than 100%.
Yep. Shane Corson's been a going concern again here tonight. He's played extremely well, I thought, in this series. The third period the other night when they lost the game in Pittsburgh, Corson was by far, I thought, the Montreal's best player.
Lasky clears it ahead. Here's Bureau against Olesen. Bureau shot easily steered aside by Barrasso. Now Barnes trying to go up the middle with it. It was blocked in. Bureau just drives it back into the Pittsburgh zone. We played just over 7 minutes of the third period here in Montreal. Yager started to get some speed, but immediately surrounded by 3 white jerseys. And here's Malakoff now, trying to get wound up from out of his own zone. Long backhand pass, but it bounced over the stick of Brunet. Barnes taps it in on Moog. He directs traffic very nicely. Malakoff to Brunet. Brunet across the line, but Recchi was in there just ahead of the play, and Hatcher came up with an elbow in the face of Brunet, and that immediately drew Shane Corson right over at Kevin Hatcher. The two of them have been right at each other most of the night.
Well, that's one of the things that Corson does so well. He gets himself mixed into everything and makes himself play better.
Well, the Canadians showing that they will stick up for each other, and right now they have the lead on the Penguins in the third.
The man at the bottom of the picture there looks like general manager of the Edmonton Oilers, Glenn Sather, in here taking in this game.
Rather interesting that he would be in here taking in this Eastern Conference playoff game with his Edmonton Oilers involved in their series with Colorado. Of course, this is an off night for that series. 4 skaters aside, Hatcher for the Penguins and Corson for the Canadians. He's got 2-minute minors at 7:35 of the third period. Manson moves it across for Recchi, who has to come back to get it. Lang, Straka, Warenka, Kasparaitis, the 4 skaters for Kevin Constantine. It is Recchi, Brunet, Manson, and Brisebois for Alain Vigneault's Montreal Canadiens. Here is Lang with it, slapped away from him, rolls in behind Barrasso.
Straka and Lang have good feel for each other, and Straka's got great wheels. I think that's why they like to use these two out here in the 4-on-4.
Warenka trying to work his way toward the Montreal net. It's cleared away by Manson. Here's Recchi. Kasparaitis may have an angle. Recchi throws the shot. Barrasso the save, and he hangs on. Well, Recchi was off to the races, and speaking of the races all this week, ESPN presents special coverage of the Kentucky Derby. Wednesday at 5 Eastern, coverage kicks off with the post-position draw show featuring a new format with owners drawing their own position. Friday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, it's the 1998 Kentucky Oaks, the Kentucky Derby for fillies. Saturday at 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific, ESPN's Kentucky Derby special. Get all the pre-race pageantry and analysis leading up to, of course, ABC Sports coverage of the 124th running of the Kentucky Derby beginning at 4:30 Eastern, live from Churchill Downs.
Well, what makes 4-on-4 action so fun is that extra open ice, and Mark Recchi got a chance to go after a loose puck. The Montreal defense, I believe it was Manson, just cleared it to the open space. He knew a Pittsburgh defenseman had come into the zone. He just threw it up to the area that Pittsburgh defenseman should have been in. Recchi got to it first, had a good scoring chance on Tom Barrasso.
So 2 veterans, down boost for the Canadians, Francis for the Penguins, leaning in for this faceoff. It's controlled by Francis, Slager, and Olesen. Out there with Francis and Yager now. .11:25 left in the third. Yager has the only Pittsburgh goal. Francis tips it for Yager. Yager drops it back. Francis with a catch here. That was blocked by Malakoff. And back the other way, now comes Ruzhinsky. He'll get to that loose puck first from an angle.
Vladimir Malakoff has heard he was the one who went down and blocked that shot. Rather did a terrific job. I'm almost positive it hit him on the side of the ankle where there is no padding. He limped off to the bench. Well,
again, it was Manson who picked his spot perfectly to go after Yager. And back comes Slager now with 25 seconds left in this 4-on-4. Slager hands it off now for Stu Barnes. Barnes snaps a shot over the glove of Andy Moog. And the puck caroms all the way out center ice. Kasparaitis drops it back. Wawrinka. Kasparaitis hands it off now for Morozov. Now for Stu Barnes. Barnes for Kasparaitis. Oh, Thornton had him lined up. Here is Recchi now just coming off the bench. As both teams are back at full strength. Corson had it knocked away. Manson hustling back. Morozov watching him. Now Quintal steps ahead for Recchi. Recchi into the Pittsburgh zone. Sets it in front of Kent for Carson. He scores!
The big boys are coming through now. Great misdirection by Mark Recchi. Look at him get everybody's attention and no look pass right on the tape to Shane Corson. Look at this. You can see Recchi was looking down at his own stick. So the Pittsburgh players weren't aware that the pass was going to happen when it happened. Meanwhile, by the time they realized what was happening to them, they turned around. Shane Corson was in position. He finished it off. He was all alone with Tom Barrasso. Barrasso got a piece of it. Not enough. 3-1 Montreal.
Second of the game, and 35th career playoff goal for Shane Corson. The 9th time he has appeared in postseason play in his career, and he always seems to be a significant player. And a 2-goal lead.
Corson and Recchi are always two guys who turn it up a notch when playoffs come around. They've really made an impact here on this game. That was a terrific play there by Mark Recchi.
Now Recchi with no points coming in, but boy, he has been a factor. Great no-look pass that you pointed out, Brian.
You pass to a spot. It's things you work on in practice, and you play together for 82 games. Well, not quite 82 because of injury, but you develop a feel. He knew Corson was going to be there.
Stefan Quintal also drawing an assist down the goal. So now the Penguins really find themselves in a hole, down by 2 on the road with less than half the period remaining. And here comes Thornton again with a huge hit on Hatcher. Thornton now circling around center ice. Hands it off for Bureau. Now Thornton comes in again. Yager trying to dig it out of there. And Francis hands it off now for Straka. On the far side for Olesen. And a play offside at the Canadiens blue line. Well, the Canadiens came out strong here in the third, and they have scored the only goal. They lead by 2, 8:47 to go. Scott Thornton missed the last 3 games of the regular season. He had some cartilage removed from his shoulder with arthroscopic surgery, and he was back 8 days later. And boy, he's not playing at all, Brian, like he has any problems with his shoulder.
Yeah, obviously it was a success.
Oh.
But that's the reason they picked him up initially, is they wanted some more size in the middle. When Scott Thornton is on his game, he's making plays and hits like we just saw.
Brasso around the board. An intercept, a giveaway, and a shot fired wide by Bureau. A giveaway by Yager, and Bureau could have probably iced the game there, but he missed the net. Slager nearly gave it up to Bureau. Now Olesen plays it ahead, and then climbs up a stick and into the Montreal bench.
When you're down by 2 goals, you start pressing, looking for ways to get yourself back into it. You start making risky plays all over the ice. Pittsburgh did that on the last shift. Turnovers in the middle of the ice are going to be costly at any time, and Montreal is going to be sitting back and looking for them. When you start on the boards and try to go into the middle, I believe that it was it was Slager, 71 Black, coming up through the middle of the ice. I don't think he was even expecting the pass from Yager off the boards. Went right by him. A big turnover, free shot on Tommy Barrasso because of it.
Brisebois throws it across for Manson. It is turned back. Brisebois once again. Along the boards, and Corson just let it go. 3-1 lead for the Canadians, looking to take a 2-1 lead in the series. Recchi lost the stick right out of his hands. Here is Lang, looking to go wide on Manson. He does, puts it out in front, but again, the Canadians there is Brisebois. Knocks it away, and Recchi up the left side, puts it in deep. Rene and Hatcher tie each other up, so Recchi says, I'll take that loose puck, and looks to send it out, and does. And Brisebois missed, trying to go high on the blocker side.
That was a smart play by Recchi there, Dave. He's behind the net. He just didn't dump it into the front of the net to try and get a scramble goal. Pittsburgh might grab it and go and leave him trapped. He made sure he passed it to a teammate who was outright open.
Warenka for the Penguins now, hands it off. Here is Eddie Olchuk. Sends it deep into the Montreal zone. Rob Brown trying to get around his man. One hands it to Olchuk behind the net. Taken off a his stick by Ulanov. Up the middle now. Brzezinski. Coming late is Damphousse and Savage. Savage winds up, drives the shot. Barrasso the save. And he'll hold it there, and that'll give us an opportunity to go back to our studios once again. John Buccigross. John?
Thank you, guys. Would the Dominator get a shutout against the Flyers? The last answered question, Dan McGillis says no. First career playoff goal makes it 5-1. However, Buffalo has just scored again with under a minute left. It's now 6-1. They will win.
6-1. Amazing. No one would have predicted that. Those people in Buffalo must be going crazy, and Philadelphia obviously has to regroup. And Tommy Barrasso's boys have to regroup here with 6:52 to go in the third period. Not able to generate much offense. And I think the way Montreal is playing him here in the third, Darius Kasparaitis and some of his defense partners may have to take some chances. The defensemen are going to have to jump up with the puck. The first guy you think about is Kevin Hatcher, of course. He's the most capable speed and skill-wise to jump up. And I think that because of Montreal's structure in the neutral zone, very difficult to pick your way up the ice making passes. So if you can get some guy with wheels coming from behind, at least get them in the zone and give them a chance to do something.
Game 2, we saw Pittsburgh with a 3-1 lead for most of the third period. It was all Montreal. Pittsburgh was kind of backing up, but Montreal has not played that way here in the third. I mean, they have controlled things. It is a final now. Buffalo has defeated Philadelphia 6-1 to take a 2-1 lead. In that Eastern Conference quarterfinal, here's Brzezinski, winds up, drives a shot. And Barrasso steered that aside.
I think Montreal feels like they're well into their established game. They have their momentum. They're playing smart defensively. They're not trying to give anything away, but they still have some quickness and tempo, and they're really putting the onus on Pittsburgh to do something offensively, and I think they can feel that Pittsburgh just doesn't have the feel for it right now.
Here is Barnes now, top of the circle, trying to set up Francis, who's taken down, going to the net. No penalty coming here. The net comes out the supports, and Ron Francis looking at Terry Gregson.
Malakoff had inside position, and again, that's basically what it comes down to. Barnes is stalling, fakes the shot. He'll just dump it to a space just off the stick of Ronnie Francis. But that's Malakoff, who had inside position. And you can see Francis sort of climbed up the side of him, and I think Terry Gregson must have had a pretty good look at that. He started shaking his head and waving it off. Ronnie Francis looking for a penalty there. He's a smart guy. I mean, he went right up the side, really, of Malakoff while still trying to get a stick on him.
Face on top of the circle to the left of Andy Moog. Lager has to back up to get control now for Olaus and Thornton. There's another big hit. Scott Thornton is just taking advantage of every shift.
And he's sharp there, too. He waited till he could see that the man was struggling with the puck and in jeopardy. That's when he speeded up and took a run at him.
Saturday at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific, ESPN presents NASCAR's Night in Hollywood, a golden celebration. Host James Woods and many of Hollywood's brightest stars pay tribute to NASCAR on its 50th anniversary. Current and former NASCAR stars will be honored for their service and success over the past 5 decades. It all gets underway Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPN.
Well, the second line out here for the Pittsburgh Penguins right now, and Kevin Constantine hoping that they'll get back to the tempo and flow they had in Game 1 and Game 2 in Pittsburgh. We talked a lot about Robert Lang's line. They've not really been able to generate anything in the way of offense or momentum. In Game 1 and 2, they were stealing pucks in the neutral zone. Straka was flying up the ice. Morozov using great speed. Not in this game.
Here is Manson now from behind his own net. Handing it off for down Poos and back to Manson. Hatcher holding it into the line, dumps it back behind Andy Moog. Manson will get there. Now Savage chips it along the boards. Lang held it in. Here's Straka. Makes a move against Manson. Straka centering pass between the circles. Savage there to intercept. Savage crisscrossing with Ruzhinski. Brisebois coming late, looking for the pass. He has it. Brisebois looks to the front of the net, tipped aside by Barrasso. Brisebois has it again. And Barrasso got away with some interference there on the Montreal player Ruzhinski, who was holding the side of his head. Ruzhinski goes right at Morozov. As play continues the other way now with Lang looking to clear.
Pittsburgh pretty much bottled up in the neutral zone now. Again, Montreal doing a fine job of just taking away space in that middle ice area, not allowing anybody, particularly 68 Black Yager, to get any kind of speed going at all.
Well, they've only lost sight of Yager really once in this game. That's when he scored the first goal of the hockey game. That was 5.5 minutes into the first period. Since then, they have been very physical on Yager, who goes down again.
And the three defensemen are out again for Montreal. Popovich, Malakoff, and Zalapsky all out there. And they've been tying up the big guys consistently, especially in Game 1 and again now in Game 3 for the most part.
Well, they've been doing it obviously when the play is on, but they continue to do it after the whistle here late in the third. I won't be looking forward to that. Jaromir Jagr, I don't know how much he's looking forward to going back on the ice with the treatment he's been getting. Well, watch the work here of Malakoff. He takes Jagr down. And then he says, well, I'm going to take care of one of the other big guns there, Ron Francis. And why so much attention to this line? Well, it's pretty obvious what they mean to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Look at this. 8 goals and 20 points these three guys combined for in the 6 regular season games. The rest of the Pittsburgh team had only 6 goals and 15 points. So it's tough in the playoffs when you can match up and make adjustments to be a one-line team and be successful.
Yeah. And in the playoffs, in Games 1 and 2, they didn't have much success in Game 1. They had a lot of success in Game 2. But don't forget, they had a lot of help, too. Barnes had one go in off his foot. Malakoff put one in for him. I mean, those types of things start to happen. Excuse me, Ronnie Francis had an empty netter.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why I think that this big line for Pittsburgh still has not done its best work yet. There's still an upside, but we haven't really seen it here in this Game 3. But give Montreal credit for that.
Wawrinka now from behind the Pittsburgh goal, hands it off to Rob Brown as we are winding down now. Just over 3.5 minutes left here in the third period of Game 3. And we know you'll stay with us as Steve Levy and Darren Pang will bring you action from L.A. right after this game. But here come the Penguins putting out some pressure. Rob Brown was stopped though by Andy Moog. Puck cleared to the line. Now behind the net, they try to get it in front to Hicks. Good pressure here by the Penguins. Now it's off the skate of Kent Call and sent down the ice.
Only one turnover by Montreal, and it was Olchuk who got a decent shot on net, but still it was from an angle, and he's frustrated. And Eddie Olchuk over by the bench with a slap of the stick. He breaks it into a couple of different pieces, and Andy Moog has just been too tough. And we're going to have an answer for our Sports Zone question tonight. With Saku Koivu's injury, would you play him tonight? 65% of you said no. Thank you all for voting. And obviously, the Montreal coaching staff decided the same thing because they didn't play him.
Well, there's so many things, as we talked about, to consider. I mean, more is expected at playoff time from the players and of the players in terms of playing through pain and playing through injuries. But a guy like Alain Vigneault in a case like this has to consider, will it jeopardize the future of Saku Koivu if he gets hacked on that hand again? It's already been stated in the papers that if he does return in this series or at any time in the playoffs, he probably won't be able to take any face-offs. So, I mean, the word is out there that he's not going to be anywhere near 100%.
And anything goes in the playoffs. The guys will be taking whacks at that hand because it's just the way the business is. You do what you got to do.
Here is Jagr. Pinned to the boards there by Zalapsky. Now Bureau trying to work it out of there. He gets it to Thornton. Malakoff coming late on the play up the left side, but Thornton could never get control.
Malakoff has joined the rush, has led the rush, has played a really strong game. We pointed him out as being a key player because of inadvertently scoring the goal in his own net in the last game. Well, look at Thornton. Thornton's played a heck of a game again here. He's been in everybody's face, and banging everybody into the wall. But again, Malakoff has played a strong game and done a really good job of getting into the play with pressure on him.
Speaking of doing a good job, how about the lower seeds? 3 of 8 are already leading their series, and obviously if Montreal hangs on here, it'll be 4 of the 8 lower seeds. And you start looking, and it's still very early, but I think most of the popular opinion was New Jersey and Philadelphia were the 2 leading candidates to come out of the East, and both could certainly challenge for the Stanley Cup. The big 3 in the West, Colorado, Dallas, Detroit. But if any 1, 2, or even as many as 3 of those teams get knocked out early, you start looking at teams like St. Louis and Washington, if they're able to come out of the first round. Dark horse teams, much like Pittsburgh's run in 93, or excuse me, Montreal's run in 93 when Pittsburgh got knocked out.
Right. And also, obviously, what happens if these underdog teams come out and win, then obviously you restructure everything. And some of the teams that never expected to have any home ice advantage all of a sudden might get some.
Here is Barnes. He is taken down by Popovich. Zalapsky going after Yager, who I think took a slash or some sort of hit down at the other end. Here is Yager again. Trying to protect the puck. Popovich plays him well. Zalapsky over to help out. Now Stu Barnes is there. Zalapsky checks in.
One of the things that's happened to this big line here tonight, and again, Montreal gets credit, is that when Yager gets the puck, he's been isolated. He's been over on one side of the rink by himself with a couple of Montreal players, and somebody's got to be close enough for him to make a pass so he can make a play, do a little give and go, maybe shrug off a player who's trying to check him. Looks like he got a little bit of a slash on that last play, but really, Yaromir's just had to go it alone so many times in this game trying to fight through players. Even he, with his great size and skill, can only do that so many times.
Now, some of the fans are starting the nah, hey, goodbye song they like to sing here, but it's not the full crowd yet. They're looking up at that clock. They see 2 minutes. It is a 2-goal lead. A little bit surprised maybe that Barrasso hasn't come out with a face-off deep in the Montreal zone and down by 2. They need something in a hurry, obviously.
Yeah, that's true. They could pull him at this point. It is. I mean, I'm a pretty conservative guy, but a lot of coaches probably would pull him right now. Constantine obviously waiting just a little bit longer. He's got to come out soon, though.
Lang hands it off. Warenka has it. He comes out from Barrasso's left, and Barrasso looks like he's edging his way out in the middle of the ice and looking toward the bench. Here's Straka, tried to hand it off. Manson with a steal, but he gave it right back to Hatcher. Hatcher rolls it in deep. Lang sends it out, and Morozov got a stick out of the race for the puck here, but Morozov, with those long strides, able to stay ahead of Recchi. Lead pass now for Benoit Brunet. Brunet cuts in the middle of the Pittsburgh zone, just backhands it in wide of the net. Recchi out to Manson toward the Pittsburgh goal, blocked by Hatcher. Center ice now for Francis. Barrasso going to the bench for the extra attacker. Yager's shot was wide. Now it's out near the blue line. Olchuk ran into his man. The puck is up on the boards. Extra skater now for the Penguins. Francis with a shot. Moog sliding across, makes the save. Manson from deep in his own zone plays it off the glass. It'll be held in by Slager, but knocked away by Zalapsky. Empty net to our left. Extra attacker for the Penguins, and the whistle blows the play offside. Boy, if you didn't get enough playoff action tonight, we got a lot coming your way again tomorrow. Washington Capitals will lead their series 2-1. Will be in Boston for Game 4, and ESPN's National Hockey Night will be there. Gary Thorne and Bill Clement to call the action. And right here on the Deuce, Brian and I will be in Ottawa for that game tomorrow night as the Ottawa Senators try to take a huge 3-1 lead over the heavily favored New Jersey Devils. And immediately after that, it'll be the Detroit Red Wings, the defending champions, trying to pull back even in their series. They'll take on the Phoenix Coyotes at 10:30 Eastern.
Boy, a lot of hard feelings in that Washington-Boston series, too. Boston thought they had the game won. They called for a skate in the crease. Washington comes around and wins the game after all. So Boston's got to pick themselves up by the bootstraps and do something in that series, too.
Timeout has been called here with 14 seconds. Well, now the clock's running.
Somebody must have a date.
Yeah.
Game's over, guys. They don't care that somebody called timeout. They're ready to go home.
Well, we've talked about Game 3 and how important it is, and we remind you that since 1987, the winner of Game 3 in a series that is already tied 1-1 going into Game 3 has gone on to win 55 of 86. And last year, 7 playoff series were tied at 1-1 after 2 games, and the winner of Game 3 went on to win all 7 of those. But again, players, I'm sure, don't think about those numbers. It's nice to have that lead.
Yeah, players are not even aware of them. You don't look at stats like that, but it's interesting for all of us to look at it and see how it turns out. Andy Moog and his teammates are in the driver's seat right now.
Well, now they got the correct time on the clock, as you see, just under half a minute. And here is Kevin Hatcher with it, rolling it across. Now Francis lays it ahead. It's blocked. And Malakoff, he took a slash. He took a slash on the left hand. And I believe it was Francis or Old Chuck.
Oh, Malakoff is hot. Look at that left hand. He must not have much feeling in it right at the moment. He got whacked right across the top of the hand. Don't forget, they've already got one of their best players, Saku Koivu, out. Has not played in the playoffs yet because of a hand injury. Suffered exactly the same way. A chop right across the back of that hand. Ooh, it smarts. I'm not sure who it was either, Dave, that came and got him. He was in center ice, looking to make a play from the middle of the ice over to the boards, and he got a pretty good chop. Here's Malakoff. Yeah.
Francis.
Tony Francis. Right across the hand. It's hard to tell where exactly that one landed, but the glove came off that left hand real quick. And there's Ronnie Francis, and the result of that play is 2 minutes. Here with another look. Here comes Francis. Wow. That looked like right across the thumb, from what I could tell.
Yeah.
Right across the thumb, or just above the thumb area there. But from the looks of his face, it doesn't look like he's in too much pain right now. And the face-offs. Look at Montreal.
Wow.
Holy smokes. They've turned that right around. That's tough to explain. After getting just dominated in the first 2 games in Pittsburgh, they turned it right around. The only thing I can think of is getting your stick down last. Is it meaning that much? The home teams are winning all the draws big time.
Well, the crowd here coming to their feet as the Montreal Canadiens will win this game 3-1. Brian, to take a 2-1 lead.
Montreal deserves a lot of credit for this. They haven't played well all year long. They're under 500 at home, but they came out with a good game plan. They got some zip going. They scored early on in the game, and I think that helped them an awful lot, and they kept Pittsburgh off balance on their power play.
Canadiens win it by a final score of 3-1. For Brian Engblom and the rest of our crew, I'm Dave Strader. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Coming up after the break, here on the Deuce, it'll be Game 3 of the Western Conference quarterfinals. The St. Louis Blues and the Los Angeles Kings live from Los Angeles. Once again, our final score, Andy Moog deserves a lot of credit. He was solid in goal as the Canadiens win this one 3-1.